Welcome back, everybody. If it isn't the LPL Clash Royale World Tour, we're back here with Season 2. We had one champion earlier in the year, and we're back to find yet another. I'm Genome, and joining me tonight will be Astro to take you through day one of the 2 days of action we've got here to find that champion.
I'm so glad to be here, Genome. Welcome to everyone from around the world. We have some intense matches lined up for you. Mohamed took out the Season 1 of LPL World Tour just a couple of weeks ago, and now we need to crown a new champion, Genome.
Exactly. And how are we going to do that, Astro? I know seasoned viewers of the Clash Royale World Tour will already be familiar with this format, but we'll just go over it for you again and for any of the newer viewers we've got coming through today. So we take a whole bunch of people, we whittle them down to the top 16, and we fight it out in a best of 3 double elim duels format. These players are from all over, but only one gets to walk away as the top contender here in the World Tour. And I guess the other thing that we have to mention here, Astro, is that with how the format for the CRL works this year, this is an officially sanctioned tournament, and it means that you will gain points towards that community leaderboard, which can lead to a golden ticket and making it to Worlds.
It's unbelievable. I was just thinking, how can we elevate this tournament even more? I mean, last time we had a crazy prize pool, but this time you actually have a chance to get into the World Finals in Helsinki later this year, depending on how well you do in this tournament. I mean, we have so many community points up for grabs, but of course with Mohamed Light and Lucas and all those players in there, everyone wants to be gunning up for it.
Yeah, exactly. So many top competitors, and that means we need to have a top prize pool to reward them as well. So we will be having $12,500. Of course, some of that went to the open division as well, and then the rest of that we will be spreading across our top competitors here throughout the next 2 days. It's going to be awesome to see who walks away with that top prize. And speaking of that, I guess we should get into it. Who's going to be competing? Let's have a look at our upper bracket here to see how this tournament has played out already, because we've seen in previous times, you know, we've been through the entire thing. We've played out some of this already tonight, and we're going to be going through 8 matches tonight, and then the remainder tomorrow night at the same time, starting at the same time. So as you can see, already some interesting results, Astro.
Indeed. I mean, we see Mohamed Light versus Wallace. That's a matchup we've seen in the last tournament, but this time Mohamed Light will come out on top and then defeat Sub as well, Sub, to go into that next round of that upper bracket there. But other names like Riley making it through to the next round, and also Ian being pushed down is something also to note.
All right, so now having a look at the lower bracket, we can see already a couple of scalps have been taken, and some big ones at that. Talk to me about Wallace and Ian being some of the first 2 people eliminated from the tournament.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, I thought that these would have been some of the players we would be seeing in the very final few matches, but they're out of the round already, and unfortunately for them, they go home with $0. Now, this prize pool only prizes the top 8 players, and the bottom 8 players do go home with nothing. But, you know, it just goes to show how tough this battle is and how balanced the meta is right now.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the first 2 players, and maybe you can talk about some of that, the meta you just mentioned, and how these 2 players might be looking to utilize that to their advantage, because I know both Lucas and Adriel are pretty fearsome competitors.
Oh, they are very, very strong indeed from the LATAM region. Lucas, of course, is a monthly final winner. I believe he won the July finals. So he already has a golden ticket. And so the community points won't really affect him at this stage. But of course, the money, the prize pool is so enticing. And of course, Adriel is also such a fierce opponent. His coach was Jebus, who coached Mohamed last year. So we've seen a bit of a switch this year.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, some of the players in this tournament do already have a golden ticket. So they are really just here fighting it out for that cash, really just trying to put something in the bank here. And then, of course, for some of those other players, this really is a massive moment where they can jump up that leaderboard and try and get closer to winning the golden ticket from the community leaderboard. So here we go. Let's get straight into it. We've got Lucas versus Adriel in our first matchup on stream tonight.
Yeah, after that Dagger Duchess nerf, we've seen a lot of variety in terms of tower troops being used. Now we've got Cannoneer versus Cannoneer, so that's already a telling sign right here. But Drill coming on the right-hand side, which will be in the evolution slot.
Yeah, I mean, the cannon tower troop, obviously, it's a little bit of a risk sometimes, right? It has the highest single target DPS, but also the lowest amount of HP. So, every little bit of chip damage coming through towards the cannon towers, like we've seen here, relatively is going to do more versus, say, a princess tower.
Yeah, and the attack time is very is low for Cannoneer as well. So if you have swarm troops, kind of like a lot of Skami and goblins, that's not going to be good news for it. But the Tesla looks like it's going to be able to defend against these troops at the bridge. Goblin Demolisher, of course, a very popular goblin card that was released a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so Drill v Drill here on the Evos, and they're both pumping them out as fast as they can towards these towers, of course. Lucas has revealed his entire deck. Adriel still got a few cards up his sleeve at this point. Evo Tesla on the defensive side here for Lucas. I feel like that's been an extremely strong card here. Was that a missed log?
I'm not sure. I kind of missed that. I was just fixated on the drill there at the bottom because every time the drill respawns, it does that little bit of tower HP damage onto it. So it's like a free spell if you had your times by 3. But now we see the Evo drill coming from Adriel. And how can Lucas try and predict this? By putting troops around it, the spirits are going to be taken, and it looks like the goblins are going to do some insane damage there on the left-hand side. 10-33 for Lucas.
It's a big lead already for Adriel. Only 1,000 left for Lucas as we're getting closer towards overtime. Obviously, the log at the front when it's the regular drill is a good play, but yeah, with the Evo drill coming in, it does make it a bit harder to defend with, and that's where I think the Knights are coming in very handy.
Oh, the Goblin Demolisher just managed to get that bomb onto the tower there with 10 seconds to go. All it needs is a poison cycle there to pressure, but I don't think Lucas is going to be able to take this one.
Yeah, the drill comes in with the poison on top of it. And that's going to be a very convincing victory there from Adriel in game 1 in what was almost a mirror matchup, Astro.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you really got to place your drills correctly. Depending on where you place your drills around the tower, they can pop up in different locations. So you can try and strategically place your tanky units in front to see whether you can allow the goblins a few more stabs at the tower. But no, Adriel just played that so well with that mirror matchup. You said it could have been anyone's game.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, now that a lot of the same cards are out of the pool for the two players, I feel like that does mean going into the second and third, potentially, matches of this best of 3, both of the players are going to have a pretty good idea of, how to play around their opponents, because they kind of are in the same boat, right?
Oh, yes, of course. Now, the Evo Drill and Evo Tesla are out of the question for both the players. But, of course, Evolution Mega Knight is banned in this tournament. We're not allowed to use it just because it's just recently been released. So not everyone has had a chance to get their hands on that Mega Knight. So we won't really be seeing any of that tonight. But we could see a regular Mega Knight.
Yeah, and I've heard the Evo P.E.K.K.A is allowed, however.
Yeah, I mean, Evo P.E.K.K.A is just such a strong card. If you have a bunch of, swarm troops and you have good support, it just kind of it just heals itself up to the max every single time. Personally, going up against it, I just lose all the time. Tell me, how do I defeat this Evo P.E.K.K.A, Gino?
Inferno Dragon, I've heard, is pretty good, but, if I feel like it's going to be so strong tonight that, can you afford to even play the Inferno Dragon early in the set because you're going to be so worried that they'll then bring out the Evo P.E.K.K.A later.
Exactly, and we have seen the shift towards more beat-down heavy decks in the last few seasons, especially with that Evolution Battle Ram that's been introduced as well. So having that Inferno Dragon is definitely a good choice to have in your deck. But of course, you can't use it in all 3 games. You have to be strategic with it.
Now, you saw from... it'd be interesting to see what the extra cards that Adriel was holding back in his hand there were, because we saw the 4-card cycle was actually quite a bit higher for Adriel, but then of course we didn't get to see a few of those cards that would have been pushing that number up, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he could have really hidden everything there, so anything over there, so we don't really know what to expect. But the Evolution P.E.K.K.A is just been combined with such different versatile decks, such as with Goblin Giant, with Hog Rider, with Balloon. It almost goes into any deck, so it's in such a good state right now, very versatile.
Yeah, interesting that, a card that was, I think had such a low play rate has been bumped up so much in this Evo. Do you think that's, I mean, I guess we've seen that from a lot of the cards when they've just been introduced, and then sometimes they might get a little bit of a nerf afterwards. I mean, I was, personally surprised that they gave it the overheal as well, but who knows, maybe we'll see it here in game 2. With Adriel already up 1-0 versus Lucas.
Yeah, it's kind of like the bats as well, I guess. The bats kind of heal itself when it attacks, but with the Evo P.E.K.K.A, it has to kill a troop. But we see the miner coming in from Lucas now, and there is talking about the bats. We do have the Evo bats.
Okay. Evo bats online, and Adriel is actually just gonna hold his hand, knows that the Princess Tower will be able to take care of those. And as you can see, even just from the starting blocks, a 400 HP difference. That's one of the bigger changes to happen to Clash Royale in the last year, I suppose. It's, it's not necessarily an even playing ground right from the start. Cycle arrows. And still, Adriel doesn't use that opportunity to play anything. There we go. Finally, the Zappies come out to try and deal with this mortar.
Yeah, not a lot happening there in the first minute of the match, but it looks like the Zappies are just going to stun away the the Cannoneer also one-shots the Zappies, which is also very advantageous for Lucas. Can he try and get the win with the Cannoneer once again?
Okay, here we go. Evo P.E.K.K.A. Obviously, we won't get until next cycle, but it's in the game here. Also very good versus the Monk, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, even with the Monk's pensive protection, it just cleans it up as soon as the protection dies away. Looks like Lucas is trying for a more chip cycle with the Mortar and the Miner being a very popular deck in recent competitive plays.
Yeah, and look at that. Even that, the buff that the guards got earlier in the year, also making them just a little bit tankier, right? They can take that rage spell and it doesn't knock their shields off. I think it's made them a much better card. The Void coming out here to try and deal with an also buffed cannon card, but get it out of its movable form, so it does charge on towards Adriel's tower.
Oh, but the bats are locked onto the tower, but the arrows do come in just in time. Evolution, Mortar is locked onto the left-hand side, but the Evolution Wizard is going to come and clean it up on. So now we have heavy troops on both sides. How can Lucas defend against all of this?
This is a big push. Ram Rider comes out as the 8th card as well, and that will charge straight towards the tower. Meanwhile, an arrows finishes off the right tower, and Adriel is gonna take this one 2-0. What a statement here.
Wow, what a clutch in the very dying seconds of that match. The P.E.K.K.A on the right-hand side, Ram Rider on the left-hand side. It was just too much pressure for Lucas to try and defend both sides at once. He just didn't have the elixir. So very smartly played there by Adriel.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it was yeah, as you said, it was just a massive push on both sides. It didn't feel like Lucas really had the troops to be able to maybe try and draw them in and then get some splash damage in the middle, distract them for long enough. It kind of seemed like it was just like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah, and the Monk not really proving to be of any value because I don't think Adriel ran many ranged cards. It was mostly melee cards that would attack in close range. So that didn't help Lucas's in Lucas's case. And look at the tower damage, half of what Adriel managed to get.
Yeah, that was a big difference across the course of that series there. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense because both games, honestly, very solidly in Adriel's favor. And yeah, I can definitely understand why, you know, some talk about him in hushed tones because he's clearly a player to be feared.
Yeah, and Lucas will be pushed down there into that lower bracket. Now Adriel has a chance to try and go for the big money. But looking at the decks, we see the first match with the almost mirror matchup.
And I'm trying to, did we even see Adriel pull out the Tesla at any point? Because like we definitely saw it from Lucas, but I was kind of waiting to see if we would get that reveal from Adriel. And yeah, I mean, that's interesting that he said, hey, it's a mirror matchup, I'm not going to need this Tesla, and then somehow use that to sort of cycle ahead to his advantage.
Yeah, speaking about mystery, we do have a mystery card there from Adriel, that legendary, which is unknown. But the P.E.K.K.A and the Wizard is a combination we have seen rise up in the last few seasons. Of course, the Evolution Wizard is just so strong when you pair it with the P.E.K.K.A. But going up against the Mortar Miner, which is also a very strong deck on his own, just managed to clean it up like that. You know, Adriel just definitely has the skills that it needs to take that deck.
Yeah, it feels like the Evolution Wizard has just been hot to trot really since it got introduced, and its ability to, you know, mitigate any big spells that come towards it, which I think previously was kind of its weakness, which is too easy to trade, you know, elixir, if you had fireball, lightning, whatever it was. Yeah, coming up trumps there for Adriel. All right. That's match one done. Why don't we have a look at our second head-to-head here between Riley and Noah?
Oh, here we go. Riley with, of course, over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube versus Noah Rayleigh here from Kazakhstan. We haven't really seen much of Noah in past tournaments. I haven't seen him anyway, but it's good to see some new faces turn up into the pro division. So let's see whether the underdog's going to win or Riley.
Yeah, I mean, look, the interesting part about this is if we throw our minds back to that community leaderboard that we were talking about before, Astro, Riley is currently the leader, or I should say the leader of those that don't already have a golden ticket. So he's the one currently in the spot to take that out and make his way to the CRL World Finals. If he can maintain that lead, if he can do well here, I mean, I'm having a look, he's 25 points up right now against Furin, who's also playing in this tournament. So depending on how those two match up over the course of the World Tour here, you know, we could see a switch in leaders, in who is the presumptive sort of nominee for that golden ticket.
Indeed, this is Riley's best shot. If he wants to step into that podium in Helsinki in November, he has to do well in this tournament because the other players are not very far behind him, with just 20, 30, 40 points under him. And some of those players are also playing in this tournament. So he really needs to do well in this if he wants a shot at the World Finals.
All right. Let's have a look. We're going to get straight into this. Riley's got the cam on. Love to see it. And it's going to be Cannon versus Princess Tower here. And my favorite new card, the Suspicious Bush.
Might be your favorite, but I despise it. It's just so annoying to kind of play against. You have to place something in there, otherwise it just does so much damage. I mean, look at Riley. He had to place a 4-elixir Tesla just to face a 2-elixir Bush.
Yeah, that is a pretty insane trade. Also, a nice proc here on the Goblin Barrel. With the aggro taken by the Knight, and that will sneak in a good amount of damage. And yeah, exactly. You think, how does he get to that spot where he can do so much damage so early? As you said, you know, just 2 free elixir from that bush.
Oh, look at the Dart Goblin just chipping away at the right-hand side. Riley has decided to do a bit of a tower trade, but is it going to pay off? We do see a Tesla coming, but a Void is going to try and take that tower down just in time. But another Dart Goblin there to finish off the balloon.
Oh no, but he's only got the snowball. Obviously, the Void having to be used to take out the Tesla, and that means he's got you know, plentiful amounts of anti-air on the bottom side here to try and deal with Riley. I mean, we were watching the monthly finals for, you know, for CRL last month, and a lot of players were struggling to make headway with the Suspicious Bush, but Noah has made it look OP here.
Unbelievable plays there, and of course the snowball just pushing the balloon out of range so it doesn't get too much damage there, but the Void is not going to be enough. It looks like the left-hand tower is going to be taken down to half health, and then another Suspicious Bush and another 2-elixir negative trade.
And there we go. I mean, at least it's in range to be able to take down some of the goblins from the Goblin Barrel at the same time, so it's not completely useless after seeing that damage come through onto the bush goblins that spawn. But, well, these air units are really just struggling to break through and do the damage they need, especially when you factor in that you've got the cannon troop as well, dealing bulk damage to them as they come down.
Indeed, but this time we do have the Evo Valve kind of pulling away all the defensive troops. Can the remaining cards get to the tower? But no, the snowball is just going to be pushing everything away. And with 10 seconds to go, I don't know if this Lava Hound's going to make it.
Even if it does, is there some damage on the background? No, does get the Tesla just in time to take the aggro from that Lava Hound. And that'll be the first game going the way of Noah. Could this be another upset, Astro?
Oh, unbelievable. We've seen some insane results tonight, and this is looking like it could be one of those results there as well. Noah, of course, doing such good work there with the Suspicious Bush, and Riley not being able to break through with his heavy hitting Lava Loon deck with the Void.
Yeah, could Riley join the graveyard of very good Clash Royale players like Ian and Wallace that we've already seen go down early in this tournament? It's been... I mean, this is still the upper bracket, I guess, so I shouldn't get too carried away. Obviously, they're going to have another chance if they get knocked down here, with both of them winning their first rounds. But honestly, yeah, still very impressive from Noah, who, as we mentioned, you know, not quite of the pedigree, or at least, you know, as far as the community tournaments have gone so far this year, you know, on top of his game.
Yeah, I mean, Riley did get down to the lower bracket last time as well and almost made the run to the end. I think he ended up losing the penultimate match to send him into the upper bracket. But yeah, no, he's just done so well so far. He just has to hold on tight for another couple of games if he wants a shot at the community, if he wants a golden ticket from that community leaderboard. But Noah is definitely cutting the work out for him.
Well, we've just seen the Inferno Dragon used there to back up both the Lava Hound and the Balloon. Does that open up any weakness you could see that maybe Riley could use in order to be working the decks and be building something a little bit better for game 2 and 3 here?
Yeah, I mean, the beatdown didn't really work for him in the first match, but of course, he's got that Evo P.E.K.K.A there in his arsenal if he needed to use it. But will Noah try and guess it and run a counter deck to an Evo P.E.K.K.A or run Evo P.E.K.K.A himself? We're not really sure. So these are some of the things that the players and the coaches are going through right now.
Okay, well, we'll have to wait and see what they come up with. Bring us in the second game as we get further into this second best of 3 between Riley and Noah. But yeah, look, Riley really wants to get towards the tippy top of this tournament. I mean, that would get him so close. I think there's only just a couple of these community tournaments left for the year, which they can use to try and get them a little bit closer to that golden ticket. So let's see if Riley can make a comeback now.
Oh, talking about comebacks, here we see the Drill make another appearance, I think in 3rd or 4th appearance in the tournament so far. But both players are just going to leak it at the moment and see what the other player might play. But Evo Bomber versus Evo Drill.
Yep, just eats a little bit of damage there, and as he tries to cycle the Rage, Riley says, nope, not having it. He's going to pop the Goblins to force a response. It's going to be P.E.K.K.A versus Monk. We've already seen this matchup once so far tonight, and I can tell you it definitely did not go the way of the Monk.
Nope, it definitely just ate that Monk right there. How is Noah going to try and defend against this? Okay, Fisherman comes in, and it looks like both towers are engaged now to take out the P.E.K.K.A. But we do have Evo P.E.K.K.A with the Evo Drill, which is 2 very strong cards. Riley better hope that these 2 very good cards in the meta is going to get him the win this time.
Yeah, it's a hefty deck, though. Look at that. Now Golden Knight coming through as well. That's a lot of very expensive cards. And they're also, not Swarm Troops either. And that lends themselves, to getting taken down by the Cannon Troop. The cannon towers that Noah is running. That's it. He's at a deficit at the moment. Let's see if that continues beyond a single elixir time.
Yeah, both players just kind of tickling each other's towers at the moment. Who's going to make the big play here first? Of course, if you play the Evo Drill, it starts that chain cycle and then you want to counter push. But if you play the Evo P.E.K.K.A at the back, that could force the other player to go opposite lane. But we're just going to see a couple of goblins being placed on the left-hand side. Noah can't ignore this because, of course, he's running the Cannoneer.
Okay, Fireball comes out. Nice there. That means he can get the free damage onto the tower after taking out the Magic Archer. And as you said, we get P.E.K.K.A at the back. Evo P.E.K.K.A at that.
How is it going to destroy the left-hand side? We'll see in a moment. We see a big push being developed there by Riley, and it looks like the Evo P.E.K.K.A does still have a little bit of health, but Noah is just leaking at the moment, trying to see whether he does anything on the other side. But we do have a normal P.E.K.K.A on the other side.
Enough damage has been done to the P.E.K.K.A. They can take it out before it finds any further victims. But yeah, as you say, we've got a P.E.K.K.A coming in on the other side immediately. No Evo Bomber this time to help get some of those support troops behind it. And he will use the Evo Drill to continue his reign of terror here The right side tower going so low, and he will actually, he'll get it completely with that Evo drill. Nice counter push there by Riley, just following up on, you know, all of the elixir that had to get used, kind of throwing everything to try and stop that Evo P.E.K.K.A on the left-hand side previously to that.
An extremely effective choice there by Riley, running the Evo drill, just taking out the right-hand side tower just in the nick of time while the Cannoneer was distracted on the other troops. Of course, the Goblins just kind of kept pounding and getting out of the drill and just taking down the tower. Cannoneer with that low attack speed, not able to kill all the Goblins there on time, making this now, putting us into the third match.
Yeah, it's interesting how even just a few Goblins versus those Cannoneers can force you to make some choices that ultimately can cost you, right? Like, you know, if you were Princess Tower, Dagger Duchess, wouldn't be worrying too much about just, you know, just some little Goblins coming down towards you. But if you're the Cannoneer, all of a sudden, yeah, it's an issue.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the Cannoneer is just so slow, struggles against the Swarm there. The normal drill, I find it's a little bit weak at the moment. If you pair it with other troops, it does do some damage, but the Evo drill is just unbelievably insane, just how strong it is in a good way. So you have the normal drill, which is kind of weak, and the Evo drill, which is very strong, and then that kind of balances out in between. But then you got to make sure all your cards align when you do have that Evo drill in cycle.
I mean, you say it's weak, but I feel like in some ways it's almost like replaced Miner, you know, as like that kind of like reliable chip damage card that you just see come in and you know, be a win condition that you can rely on to get damage when it's a very defensive heavy game.
Yeah, I mean, if you have other troops kind of being tanking for the drill, it can do a lot of damage. But personally, me using the drill, whenever I place it down into the opponent's side, it just gets taken out instantly. So it's a very, very hard card to use. Of course, definitely a very high skill cap card for this. So the players are definitely taking a good advantage of the Evo drill and the Evo P.E.K.K.A.
Okay, well, I guess both of us can, you know, maybe study some games tonight and learn a thing or two from the pros as they show us why the drill's so good at a high level, because we certainly have seen it come up time and time again in both of our matchups so far. Who knows, maybe even in this next game as well. Either way, both players tooling up to try and work out what this next deck will be. This is important. They're fighting for a chance to, you know, stay in this upper bracket and save one of their 2 lives essentially that they get in this double elimination tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we saw Evo P.E.K.K.A from Noah in the first game, right? And he hasn't run it in the second. So he could be running it in the third, but then that could be a snipeable opportunity there for Riley. Of course, Riley's Lavaloon is out of question. Evo P.E.K.K.A is out of question. So what other decks? We've got the Goblin Giant. We've got Mortar and Miner. These could be possible combinations. We're really narrowing it down at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like a very diverse meta at the moment. It feels like, honestly, you know, I don't know, 75% of the cards in the game are getting picked, are usable, you know, attackable into one way or another. I haven't seen a lot of buildings lately, I got to say. They do seem to be a little bit on the outer, but certainly a lot of, you know, these Evo cards are getting used. They all seem very powerful. So let's see, for the deciding game between Noah and Riley, what they're going to bring. Evo Skeletons is going to be one.
And Log there, is this hinting to a cycle deck? Okay, we do see Noah running the Hog Rider, and there we go, we see a building there placed by Riley. Do we have some more conservative decks this time?
Could be. I mean, Hog EQ, of course, it's a tale as old as time, and there we go. Doesn't have access to the Goblin Drill anymore, so as we kind of talked about, the alternative, oh, it's the Miner.
Yeah, the miner is definitely going to need to help Riley if he wants some of those community points to help him push him further. The mighty miner and the hog rider is a very a common combination we've seen even in the last tournament. So how's it going to take down the queen?
Okay. Let's see, Evo Ice Spirit. We've got Evo Firecracker as well for Noah. I feel like the changes to the Firecracker have also made her pretty decent as far as that damage. Though a great bait with the Knight, and that'll be the King Tower activation.
Yeah, so it looks like the Hog Rider is going to be struggling a little bit there. The Inferno Tower and the miner just in range of that Inferno Tower. So very well placed building there by Noah. And it looks like we have a little bit of a stalemate for the first 2 minutes of this match. Evo Ice Spirit is not a card that I've commonly seen.
No, I mean, having a look at this deck, I guess we'll see what that last card is, but you know, it's not like he's got a lot of other options right now. There's no Evo Hog, there's no Evo Guards. Yeah, like what else would you put in that spot, I guess?
Yeah, okay, so there we go. It's going to be the spell to kind of clean things up there. Earthquake goes down, takes down the bomb tower, but the Hog doesn't get a shot at the tower there. Meanwhile, the Archer Queen is being distracted by some skeletons, and the Firecracker is just going to clean up the rest of the defense cards.
Nice working Firecracker, cleaning house on both lanes, but a little bit late to the party with this miner. He does get some good damage in. That said, Noah still has the lead. And you know, it's even Stevens this time. Princess Tower versus Princess Tower, and it is just, what is it, 60 HP a lead as the next Hog goes in. These bomb towers are going to be coming down to continue dealing with those, just like the mighty miner is trying to deal with this miner pressure on the right-hand side.
Yeah, the Hog is just struggling to get to the tower. Most of the damage on the left-hand side is by the Earthquake, so that's probably going to be his best shot. Or maybe if he can get some damage by the remaining tidbits of the Firecracker onto the left-hand side, that could be a possible choice as there. Oh, but looks like, oh no, the Hog is just going to be taken out.
Yeah, I mean, even with the Cloaking Cape coming in there from the Archer Queen, does do a lot of damage very quickly. The double Evo, well, double Firecracker at least. The log doesn't hit both of them, or it doesn't kill both of them at least. And now we've got a little bit of pressure on both sides. Evo Knight comes in. It's going to get taken down by that, by the Inferno Tower pretty quickly there, which also will help out with the miner. But at this point, Riley has opened up a significant lead.
Indeed, great use of the Evo Ice Spirit there on the left-hand side, taking out the Queen before her ability pressed through. But once again, we see the Hog struggling to get past the halfway point. But there we go, another Hog. But of course, we have another bomb tower in action. Earthquake going, Miners going, Poison's going with only 40 seconds to go. It looks like Riley just has the upper hand.
Okay, but can they cycle enough spells here to make this work? Because it feels like now that we're in triple elixir time, Noah does have troops more readily available to him, and it's a little bit easier to get them on top of the miner. As you can see there, he can preemptively put down the guards and make sure that he's not getting any further chip damage. And with that, it seems like he is getting closer and closer. He's reeling in the damage, but no! A miner does connect, and I dare say that will be enough to push Riley ahead. A 2-1 victory for him. Hard fought. That first game, he really had to reel that one all the way back.
Very well played there by Riley, pressuring Noah on both sides with the miners and the poisons relentlessly coming through every 10 seconds. And Noah just didn't have the cards that he needed to try and defend against the miner, because if you place the guards, the poison comes in, takes it out. Then you can place, let's say, your skeletons, and that gets taken out by the poison as well. Meanwhile, his own Hog just not able to reach the tower.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure if he ever got a swing on that tower with the Hog. The bomb tower was there every single time. And yeah, look, even with the earthquake getting placed down on top of it, he almost never seemed to just be able to find an opportunity to slip through the cracks there, so to speak, and find that tower.
Yeah, I mean, the Hog was just struggling. Most of the damage was done there by the earthquake. There was a few times where I thought the Hog was going to make it, but it just decided to swing around the other way. But looking at the first decks, of course, Riley with a very strong Lava Loon, the Snowball being countered by Noah's Snowball.
It managed to get in a couple of uses out of that, and then we saw the success of the Goblin Drill. Meanwhile, you can see there was actually a Royal Giant that I believe didn't come out at all from Noah. He was too busy trying to find his way around that P.E.K.K.A, and I guess that makes sense, because honestly, if you chuck the Royal Giant down next to a P.E.K.K.A, it's just going to be fodder for it.
Yeah, and the third deck we see the Inferno Tower wasn't really able to snipe any big heavy cards such as a Mega Knight or P.E.K.K.A or Golem, just kind of being used to try and distract the miner where possible. So not the most effective use of the Inferno Tower there. And I just kind of noticed there, it was actually Riley versus Noah Riley, depending on how you pronounce it.
Yeah, a little bit of a mirror matchup. Well, Riley shows he is the better Riley with the 2-1 victory there. And with that, we are going to move on to the lower bracket now. And we'll get the next 4 matches of the lower bracket. As you can see, we're going to get the run back here with Noah taking on Perry to start with.
He does not get a break, does he? I mean, just facing Riley and, you know, a very, very strong opponent, and now having to face another opponent in the lower bracket. If he loses this, it's going to be it. He's going to go home. So it's going to be all or nothing in this next lower bracket match.
Yeah, exactly. No more chances for these guys. They need to continue winning from this point on if they want to make, you know, an infamous lower bracket run to get even further. It's gonna be tough, but we'll see. Perry, we haven't managed to get a look at him yet tonight. I don't know, any info on Perry that you can tell us, or anything that we can be expecting after that very close match from Noah in the upper bracket there, Astro?
Yeah, no, not really. Perry's just kind of flown under the radar, just like Noah. I haven't seen his name many times at all in the last tournaments, in the last couple of years. So really good to see some new names in the pro division with some of the best players in the world. How is he going to face Noah, who's just taken the L from Riley?
Yeah. And as you said, yeah, not a lot of time to prep here, right? Like he's going to be straight out of, you know, having a defeat, and he's going to have that on his mind. This is where having a really strong mental comes in, honestly, because not only does he have to be thinking about a new opponent and how to tech and sort of play versus them, depending on whether you are the kind of player that prefers you know, to play just to your own strengths, or whether you know, you prefer trying to snipe your opponent, as seemingly happened to him in game 2, where we did have that you know, P.E.K.K.A versus Royal Giant matchup that seemed to be pretty cut and dried.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if you place a Royal Giant into a P.E.K.K.A, it's just going to get shredded to pieces. That's probably why we didn't see that many Royal Giants in that game there. But Evo P.E.K.K.A has, I'm pretty sure, turned up to every single duel deck so far. So is it going to continue making its infamous run? And I guess we can say the same about the Drill as well.
Yeah, Drill's been massive. It just feels like, yeah, everyone is picking that in either, you know, deck 1 or deck 2, bringing it out at some point. I feel like we used to see a lot of Valkyries put in there just to deal with that, and it feels like people have gone away from that. I'm not sure if that's because of some of the changes that they made to Drill, where you know, some of those mechanics have been changed over time, and therefore you know, log and other sorts of, you know, ways are better to deal with that now. Yeah, I don't know. What's your take on that one?
Yeah, you're right. I think the goblin drill has been nerfed recently. So in the first wave, instead of having 2 goblins come out, just 1 goblin gets out of there. So you have a little bit more chance to try and defend against it if you just based on a reactionary mode there. But of course, the Evo Valk is a very popular combo with the Lava Loon deck that we saw Riley run earlier. But yeah, you're right. I haven't seen many Valkyrie paired up with drill this year around.
Okay. Well, who knows? Maybe it will make an appearance at some point. You know, perhaps we weren't expecting the Evo Ice Spirit as much as we were, and yet here it is again. Noah going this time with a lot of very quick cycle cards, and he's also gone for the Royal Hogs.
Debut appearance of the Royal Hogs there by Noah, and it looks like the Guards and Tesla are going to be 2 strong counters there for the Hog. Now, Royal Delivery also making its first appearance this time, I believe. But there we go, Lava Hound. It's been strong every single meta for the last few years, but how is it going to face against the Royal Hogs?
So he's got the Tesla, he places it early. We've lost quite a reasonable amount of health by the time the Lava Hound actually shows up, but it will be there in time to distract that balloon. So he gets a good couple of hits and then also does plenty of work with that Ice Spirit to slow everything down.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a lot of air defense cards, does he? I mean, he's got the Tesla and the Queen, but that's really about it. But a very beautifully placed Void there to take out the Queen. So that could be a combination that we might see a little more later on this night. But it looks like the Hogs are going to get split onto both sides, left side and right side. Perry decides to ignore that and places Lava Hound like a good Lava Hound player.
Interesting. So it takes a bit of the damage here. And Noah spreading his out. Obviously, you know, when you're playing Lava Hound, it's very much concentrated onto one lane. There we go. They were getting that Void again to snipe the Archer Queen, and it's going to have to be a double Tesla to deal with all of this air nonsense coming at him, but it's more than enough.
Yeah, I think this is really going to be the only way for Noah to kind of defend against Perry. Just place all your cycle troops and then get as many Teslas as possible. But a Valkyrie is going to allow the Hogs to get about 1,000 damage there on the right-hand side. But a very aggressive Lava Loon now coming there from Perry. Evo Iceberg is going to freeze all of that for a few seconds.
Yeah, look, goes into Cloaking Cape. And then Void comes down, and it's like, okay, you know, is using the ability of your champion there even worth it if they're going to get taken out by the Void every single time? Now with the Hogs coming in, a great snowball will just tee them up for the Valkyrie as the Lava Hound goes right lane this time.
Oh, this time the pair has been separated, the Lava on the right and the Balloon on the left, just to change things up to see whether any can get to the tower. It doesn't look like the Balloon is. The Lava Hound is just going to chip the right-hand side, and Noah is going to decide to just leave this at the moment with 1 minute 30 seconds to go. There goes another Royal Hogs on the right-hand side.
Okay, and the Evo Valk just drawing those Hogs in, just as it seemed like they were going to be able to get some good damage. I mean, they still did. Down to 1,200 now. That's a decent lead for Noah. Let's see if he can keep juggling these balloons and try and continue to maintain that lead over Perry.
Yeah, just chipping away there on the right-hand side. The Royal Hogs, although it's not being fully counted, it is going to get some damage there. Earthquake also coming in to cycle Noah's hands, but this is going to be Perry's last shot if he wants to try and get anything connecting onto the tower.
Oh, but the way he's got the Teslas chained together mean that even though the Void will take out that Tesla, it still goes to the second one. Does not get anywhere near one of these towers. And now with a 1,000 HP lead and 20 seconds to go, it would take a miracle at this point for Perry to come out ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the Eva Iceberg is such an underrated card. I mean, look at all the air troops that we have coming down, and somehow nothing is reaching the tower. With 7 seconds to go, it looks like the Royal Hog chip damage is going to be enough for Noah to take out that first victory against Perry.
Yeah. Smiles from Noah there as he plays tower defense. We see 4 Teslas up at one time. No damage going out towards them. He just keeps stacking them up. That was kind of crazy. And as you said, the Ice Spirit, you know, underrepresented, underestimated, it seems, because against a deck like that, time is what you need, right? Balloons, you just need to buy time against them, and the Ice Spirit does that in spades.
Exactly. I mean, look at the average elixir. We've got 3.0 from Noah, which is 0.6 faster than Perry. That just allowed him to kind of cycle those small units, such as the skeletons and the Ice Bird, and the timing of those cards were just impeccable. Freezing the Lava Hound, the Balloon, and the Inferno Dragon, and in the meanwhile, while that was happening, just chaining the Teslas all across the map.
Yeah, and you know, you can see the 7 elixir 4-card cycle there means he can just get back to that Tesla so quickly, which is why you saw so many of them up on the map at the same time. And I think the other thing as we have a look at this deck here is that it's like the cards he was cycling, you know, they were doing their job as well, right? Like he was using the spells there to just get the damage in. It didn't feel like he was just cycling things just for the hell of it. Like everything he was putting down was getting him further and further ahead.
Exactly. He used every card to its 100% potential and used it so effectively and at the correct time and placement. Just what a skilled craftsman we've got here with this. I would consider a pretty difficult matchup there. But now we head into a second round. We do have the Lava Loon out of action there from Perry. What is he going to run next?
That is the question. Let's have a look here as we get into game 2. Surely in game 2 we see one of these players bring the P.E.K.K.A out here. Both of them have gone cannon this time, which is going to be good when you're up against something like a miner, because it gives you heavy damage straight away, and yeah, it is kind of hard to get the damage onto that. Nice charge there from the Golden Knight. Connects onto the tower.
Yeah, unfortunate placement there by Noah, just putting his mortar 1 tile too low, allowing the Golden Knight ability to connect there on the left-hand side, giving Perry a free 400 HP to start off with.
That's a big deal, honestly, isn't it? I mean, we've seen games be decided by less than that, and as expected, here's the P.E.K.K.A. Let's see what Noah's got in his bag to try and deal with this.
He's got a lot of swarm troops, that's for sure, but does Perry have something to kill the swarm? Skeleton King making its first appearance for the night, and the Barbarian Barrel looks like it's going to try and take off the shields for some of the guards, but it's just going to be survived, of course, with that recent buff there for the guards, being able to tank everything just a little bit more.
And I guess that's why you pair the Golden Knight with the P.E.K.K.A, right? Because obviously it's weak to swarm troops, and what does the Golden Knight do? It'll charge through all of them, and then maybe, if you're lucky, get you some tower damage at the end of it. So, you know, look, he can chuck the Spear Goblins out and then the guards out, but yeah, the Golden Knight will be able to clean up a lot of those.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the troops that's going to try and clean up some of those swarms. But now we see the mortar being redirected to the Electro Wizard, and the arrows coming just in time to take it out. Yeah, it looks like it's a bit of a stalemate with both troops, with both players. Who is going to make the deciding blow?
Skeleton King catches the eye of the Magic Archer here, and the Mine is having to be used offensively a lot. Not getting the chip damage that he wants, Of course, he has, sort of equalized on that right-hand side. Here comes the Evo P.E.K.K.A at the same time as the Evo Mortar is released. And the bats as well, but you're taking a couple of shots from the Magic Archer, but they don't get there all the way.
Yeah, I mean, Evo P.E.K.K.A is a very strong card, but if you don't pair it up with anything really, it's probably going to get taken out right there. It looks like the Mortar is going to clean up some of these support troops on the bridge right now. So we've got an Electro Wizard coming on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side there. So an aggressive Skeleton King.
It feels like every time the P.E.K.K.A or the Evo P.E.K.K.A have come into this, there's something there to deal with it, whether it's the bats or the skeletons. You can see those skellies actually do get a couple of good shots on the tower there and move Noah further into the lead, closer to the series win here. Drill finally coming online. Perry has really struggled to get in the damage so far with that, but maybe now we've got, 120 left on the clock. He can find a few just opportunities here to try and level the playing field as he's sitting currently about 400 HP behind.
Yeah, I mean, even that Evo Mortar is sending all those goblins to the tower. Evo P.E.K.K.A is just healing by killing every single one of those goblins right there. And on the right-hand side, we see the Skeleton King ability coming to try and distract the P.E.K.K.A as much as possible. But the Magic Archer and the Tornado is going to get a huge amount of damage there on the left-hand side. Perry, well played.
Wow, that was maybe 3 connections there for the Magic Archer, and those honestly can make all the difference as the Tornado gets rid of a lot of those skeletons. But in the meantime, Noah's pushed ahead yet again with a great miner placement, and there's one to follow up. 2 in a row as the arrows almost get the guards onto this tower. Perry playing desperate defense right now.
Look at the bridge spam there on the right-hand side. Noah's just sending everything that he has in his arsenal, not even allowing for his elixir to regenerate. And it looks like with 130 there on the left-hand side, the Drill has got to make its final move.
Oh, he just gets a few hits in, but yeah, not enough, because the miner makes his transition from, Magic Archer Sniper to win condition, and he starts digging away at those, the Princess Tower defenses there. And yeah, those last couple of miners really just made all the difference.
Yeah, it just looked like Perry was playing catch-up in the last 30 seconds with all the troops coming there at the tower. He just didn't have time and the elixir to react to all of them in time. Of course, the miner chipping away every single time, the mortar killing some of those, some of the squishy troops, and Evo P.E.K.K.A not able to break through.
No, Evo P.E.K.K.A this time, we do see a little bit of a downturn in that particular card, but I mean, there were a lot of counters there. We saw the Skeleton King and the Soul Summoning ability, definitely, as well as the Evo Bats, both being very crucial in being able to take down that menace. And as you can see, it was reasonably balanced decks and even damage over the course of that series, but it was Noah who came out ahead.
Yeah, that looks like the first 3 games there with Riley. Get him up into that, into the competitive mindset there, as we see some of these decks. Evo P.E.K.K.A, Evo Drill, 2 very strong cards being paired together time and time again, but still not able to take down the Mortar Miner.
Yeah, it was interesting that, the Golden Knight didn't get as much value as I thought maybe it would. I feel like Noah did a good job of sort of juggling back and forth between, ground and air, whether that was the bats or the guards, sort of comboing to just take out the Evo P.E.K.K.A there. All right, well, that's our third series done and dusted. We've got some some heavy hitters coming up, but we're going to take a short break first, and then we'll be back to watch Lucas when we come back from this break. We'll see you guys in a sec.
Introducing the new and improved LetsPlay.Live. New look, new feel, new tournaments. Play and compete in dozens of esports tournaments from Open Division to Pro. Check out our new platform at LetsPlay.Live.
Introducing LPL Tournament Builder. Build your own tournaments for up to 16 participants in 3 easy steps. Choose one of the 53 supported titles across PC, console, and mobile. Select the tournament format and number of participants. Set the prizes for your tournament. It's that simple. Your tournaments, your community, your way. Try LPL Tournament Builder for free today at Let's Play Live. Play for free and win prizes with LPL Showdown, a weekly tournament series at Let's Play Live. Currently available for Brawl Stars and more. Earn LPL points to redeem in the Showcase shop for subscriptions, digital and physical prizes. Subscribers can also win cash prizes and receive double the LPL points. Sign up for free today at Let's Play Live.
All right, we're going to be back straight into the action, and it's going to be Lucas versus Teton in our next matchup. Lucas is someone I'm sure who any of you Clash Royale esports viewers out there will be very familiar with. As you can see here, he's been a fierce competitor for a long time, not only in the World Tour, we've seen him here before and seen him do well, but also overseas.
Yeah, he wasn't able to make into the last Pro Division, I believe, in Season 1, but he is a very strong contender here in Season 2. Of course, we have also seen Titan in previous editions of this tournament. So 2 seasoned veterans, Poland versus Brazil.
Yeah, and not only that, but Lucas currently, pressure's off him. He's got the golden ticket already, Astro. He is just here to do his job and walk away with the bag, essentially. Whereas, yeah, Teton obviously has to worry about that as well as getting some of those community leaderboard points to try and give himself a chance to get the golden ticket that way, because most of them have already been decided.
Indeed, we already have 5 golden tickets, so we only have 1 more left right now. And Lucas, how is he going to start this game off there? Of course, Cannoneer versus Cannoneer.
Yeah, we've seen that in a lot of our first game matchups so far, so it's interesting to see that people are relying on that early. And already we see Zap plus the Ice Wizard to try and deal with the Goblin Barrel that comes out. I wonder if that's going to be... Oh, no, he does have the log. But as you can see there, has to play it against something else, which means potentially out of cycle when the next Goblin Barrel does come around.
Yeah, the log is definitely going to be proving crucial for that Goblin Barrel when it comes through. So Titan plays the cloaking capability there to take out the P.E.K.K.A. on the left-hand side. Now, do we see any other troops to meet the Archer Queen at the bridge? No, it looks like the Cannoneer is going to soak in some of the damage, but the Royal Giant now being paired with the Evo P.E.K.K.A.
Okay, so both players finding ways to sort of, make their opponents play the counters to their win conditions at exactly the wrong times. You know, you need that log to deal with the Goblin Barrel effectively. Just like, you know, you really want the Bomb Tower to be able to, you know, take out the Royal Giant. And once again, we see a different solution for Lucas there. He's got Electro, Spirit plus Zap, and look, that's a good 3-for-3 trade.
Beautiful play there by Lucas. His timing of the Electro Spirit was just perfect to take it out in time. Of course, the log is going to be reserved for the Princess this time. That gives Titan an opportunity to place his Goblin Barrel soon. Will he do so with the Evo P.E.K.K.A coming down at the back?
Okay, how's he going to deal with that? Cannon towers, as you can see, you know, you can one-shot a Spirit. That's a big difference here. Here comes the Evo Goblin Barrels. And, I mean, look, it's a really tough card to deal with, Astro. If you're in Lucas's position, you know, how are you trying to mitigate the damage when the double Goblin Barrel comes through?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so hard to kind of divert your attention to both sides. Of course, you do have the log with the Ice Wizard, which does the spawn damage as well. So that could be one way to defend against it. But it looks like the Zap is going to be placed there on the Queen. But it's not going to be enough. The Queen is going to get a couple of shots there on the left-hand side, evening things up with Titan's left-hand side tower.
Yeah, at least the log was solid in, you know, pushing her, getting the knockback while she was in the ability, and therefore reducing some of the damage that came through that way. We're seeing the cannon car come out here on the defense. That's been pretty good at soaking up some of that damage, and as you can see, actually does the majority of it. Takes the aggro there from the Archer Queen, but she does still get a hit in.
Yeah, he doesn't have answers for every single one of these baity cuts from Titan, so he will need some troops to reach the tower. Meanwhile, he's hoping that his heavy wind conditions on the left-hand side manage to make their way through to the tower. Evo Zap coming now on defense to try and kill off some of these support troops. Meanwhile, the Snowball is just going to freeze everything.
Oh my god, and the Evo P.E.K.K.A just gets a couple of shots in there. I thought maybe that would be enough to get it to the tower. Not quite. Royal Giant comes out. It does lock up through the tower, though. And with that Zap coming through, he's so far ahead at this point. I mean, sure, the Goblin Barrel is going to guarantee some damage on at least one of these towers, but still, with a 600 you know, HP lead, he's just going to start cycling some of these small spells as he defends the less healthy tower. And the Evo Zap will finish things off. Well done to Lucas.
Yeah, dirty way to kind of finish off the left-hand side tower. Of course, he doesn't have any big spells, mostly just small spells. But of course, with the Zap getting the evolution as well, 3 stuns onto the tower will take it out in about 10 or 20 seconds or so of cycling.
And, you know, considering, you know, the cannon can do quite a lot of damage to the Royal Giant, he was able to just find a way through that to get that bomb tower out of cycle and then push that second Royal Giant through to get the crucial damage, the lethal damage almost at the end. So a good start for Lucas here, considering, remember, we're in the lower bracket here. This is their tournament lives on the line.
Indeed. I mean, I thought the Royal Giant was just going to meet another bomb tower, but Titan just didn't have the cards in rotation or the elixir at hand at that point. And that was all the difference from a victory and a loss. So one more loss and Titan goes home with nothing.
Oof, tough way to leave after you've made it this far. But we'll have to see if he can bring out something a little different against Lucas this time. So that's another win in the column for Evo P.E.K.K.A. You know, I'm just eyeballing in here, but I think that's about a 75% win rate so far tonight for the card. We haven't seen any sort of P.E.K.K.A v P.E.K.K.A matchups just yet. I'm sure there'll be one at some point. Yeah, interesting that, you know, previously it was the Bane of the Royal Giant. This time, they're best buddies.
Indeed. I mean, Evo Pekka making an appearance in every single best of 3 so far, but Mega Knight making 0 appearances. I mean, guys, the Evolution Mega Knight is banned, not the Mega Knight. You can run it, if you want to.
Yeah, well, it feels like, without that shiny little purple crystal up the top, people just not as willing to give it a chance. Nice little rage there on the defense from Lucas will take care of the Goblin Gang. And another run of Skeleton King comes out as Lucas is kind of just waiting for that Goblin Brawler to burst out of its cage.
Indeed, and of course the Goblin Brawler with its evolution as well, going to be able to suck up any heavy troop cards and kill it in a matter of seconds. And we're back to Princess versus Princess, back to the OG days.
Indeed. Okay, so Inferno Dragon so far has seemed to signal, Balloon, and would expect there to be a Lava Hound somewhere lurking in the back as well. Let's see if Lucas does bring that out this time. One bat actually escapes the aggro and will get onto the tower as well as a skeleton. You wouldn't think that's much, but blink and you miss it. 1,000 HP, 1,500 HP. A very successful attack by Titan.
Wow, and half of Lucas's left-hand side tower has already been taken by a couple of measly skeleton and bats there on the left-hand side. Of course, now both players are even in Elixir. What is Lucas's last card? It could be the Lava Hound, or it could even be Lumberjack.
Yeah, okay, we could go the old Lumballoon. Does feel like if it was going to be the Lava Hound, often you see it a little bit earlier, and of course it's a spell. We've got a Rage and we've got the Fireball to back it up. So interesting that there's no super heavy air to try and help Lucas control this one. He's just hoping to sneak the balloon through via different means this time, but so far he's just being harried constantly by this Skeleton King and really struggling against it.
Yeah, and of course the Skeleton King being pulled inside the Goblin Cage and being taken down there. The mortar, is it going to be okay? So going to lock onto the Knight there on the right-hand side. A lot of troops coming there from Lucas. He needs to play a defensive rage to take them all, but he just manages to do so.
Yep, it's a good cleanup there with the Fireball. Goblin Brawler doesn't make it to the tower. One swing from the Knight. That's all he's going to get, as he has to pump one to make sure that the Goblins are going towards his defensive troops and not the tower, not making things any worse for him, as Lucas really struggling to make any headway in this second game.
Yeah, I mean, look, so many troops there on the left-hand side, but one spell is all that's needed to kill all of them. Meanwhile, Titan's Mortar is just getting so much value, but the cannon card is locked in, and arrows just a little bit of HP to take it down.
Yep, and there's Celebratory Miner with a couple of whacks. That will be it. So Titan really had the upper hand in that one. Seemed like it was a bit of a deck mismatch there. It didn't feel like Lucas was, making, that many mistakes. Maybe there was a path to victory there, but it seemed like it was a pretty hard one.
Yeah, it did look like Lucas was trying to snipe something. I'm not sure what, because those are some very unusual combinations. Of course, in a duel format, we do need to, if you do want that upper hand, sometimes you might want to run some unusual combinations to try and snipe. But if the opponent is not running what you expect, then it can backfire indeed.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, could be the snipe, could be a missed the mark, trying to predict what Titan was going to bring out there, and as a result, you have to go to game 3. I don't know, any thoughts on with the cards that we've seen used already, Astro, where these guys could find themselves in game 3? We've seen Hoggy QB, Mr. Reliable that players have gone back to for that final game in game 3 so far tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Balloon's out of the question and Hulk's there now out of the question as well. But yeah, some unusual combinations there from Lucas. Is he going to go to some more mainstream decks like the Goblin Giant Sparky maybe is one that we haven't seen as much. Giant is also a very strong card that we've seen in the previous few seasons. Of course, now flying under the radar because the Goblin Giant evolution is just so strong when you pair it with the Evo P.E.K.K.A.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely have been seeing a bit more of that. Okay, we'll have to see if any of them come out. I think only one of the players so far has used the Evo P.E.K.K.A, so potentially that's still in the bank as well. It always feels like there's one card that the meta just gravitates around a little bit more. It just happens to be a little bit stronger. I must say, it's probably better than last time we were here casting when I think it was the Little Prince that was just running amok. That was quite some time ago now. So look, a fairly healthy meta at the moment. The Evo P.E.K.K.A certainly a strong card, but by no means sort of warping things.
Yeah, I mean, the Little Prince last time just received so many nerfs, and I believe there was a nerf that happened during a broadcast, and then players had to kind of wait 20 minutes for the update to come live, and then play with the slightly nerfed Little Prince. But since then, it has also been further nerfed into a more or less measly or kind of less than balanced, weak-ish state. But players are still using it. We have seen it, I think, in the last in the season 1 of the LPL.
Yeah, I think it feels like it only really gets used if you kind of want to use it for like a pseudo spell as well, is what I've seen, when you want to try and use the Royal Rescue as sort of a pushback, something like that, and maybe just sort of sneak in an extra card there without having to use like 2 slots for spells or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the Royal Rescue is, of course, we've seen it be nerfed as well. The distance, as well as the damage it does, as well as the knockback, actually, for some of the other troops. So a lot of its attributes are being taken away from it. So we've seen a little bit less of Little Prince this time around. It could make an appearance in Game 3, but seeing as how tight the situation is in the lower bracket, one mishap and you could be going home out of the tournament with nothing. So players are really strategizing hard right now.
Yeah, clearly these guys thinking very hard about their final decks. I'm sure they'll get the call to jump into game soon. And here it is. Final matchup, final game for one of these players.
And we are back to Princess versus Cannoneers. So Lucas better hope that Titan is not running a swarmy deck. We see the Monk come out, and Lucas has revealed both of his evolutions.
Yeah, we see both of them already on the lower end of the scale, Bomber and Skeletons. Phoenix comes out, so we've even got a Giant. Interesting to see that one coming through. Having to use the snowball there to try and stop some of the damage against the Goblins. I feel like the Goblins are almost getting included in some of these decks just because they're so good versus a Cannon Tower troop.
Yeah, with the recent Goblin update that we had, of course, 3 and Goblin cards being released, and then a 4th one the next season. We have seen a resurgence of all of these Goblins being placed onto the meta. A drill being revealed by Titan there on the left-hand side is a very popular pick for most pro players right now, and the Goblins are going to get a couple of stabs on the left-hand side, but a very healthy Phoenix coming through.
Okay, so Bomber gets 1 hit in, but that's not enough to tie things up for Lucas, who is struggling on both sides right now. Does the Phoenix do enough? Yes. Looks like 1 hit from that plus 1 hit from the Cannon Tower will be enough to stop the Demolisher getting in range.
Indeed, and the Graveyard being placed there by Lucas. So Lucas is running the very popular Giant Graveyard deck, but the Poison is going to clean off some of the Skeletons nicely. Meanwhile, the Giant is going to get a couple of stabs there at the tower on the right-hand side. but seeing as it's Princess, it does have a little more HP than the Cannoneer to get through.
Yeah, not too bad though. I mean, you know, the Giants is a bit more a T-Rex these days. They nerfed his range on the punch. And so he does have to get a little bit closer to the tower to get that damage in. Not a problem this time, or last time I should say. This time it looks like the Evo Tesla has done a little bit better at keeping him at bay. That said, the one successful push has put Lucas in the lead for the moment.
Yeah, Lucas with the Giant coming there on the right-hand side, gearing up for another graveyard there. Goblin Demolisher going to be coming instead of the poison. Okay, there we go. The poison's late, but the skeletons are getting so much damage there onto the right-hand side. How is Titan going to defend against the rest of the troop?
Wow, the skeletons, the Evo skeletons were such a good defense against that drill, and that meant they built up so much that they actually attracted a lot of attention from the Tesla Tower, Astro, and that meant you know, you had the Phoenix and the Giant getting in more swings than they perhaps otherwise would have been able to, and there we go, bam, Lucas moves on.
Yeah, Lucas has a chance now to see whether he can get through and make a lower bracket run there. But Titan, unfortunately, having to face such a formidable opponent as Lucas is going to be going home with nothing. But he did play so well, even getting a win, 1 round win against Lucas.
Well, that's something you can look back on and hope maybe you could have just, you know, tweaked something to make the 2-1 victory go the other way. But having a look back at some of the stats from that series, I think this is just that last game we saw. You can see that Lucas was well ahead in that one.
Indeed. I mean, look at the amount of damage he did. Almost 2,000 damage more than Titan there. His Giant Graveyard just managing to outwit Titan's poison as well as the log that he had there.
I mean, yeah, you were talking about some other front-running cards, some other big tanks that were strong that, you know, maybe we could have seen go with a direct graveyard, but it's Giant this time. It was P.E.K.K.A in game 1, and that was where... Actually, who did take out that one? I think that was... Yeah, Lucas.
That was Lucas,
right? Yeah, that was P.E.K.K.A plus the Royal Giant to come out on top.
Yeah, and in game 2, we see Titan kind of making his appearance there and showing who's boss with the infamous Mortar Miner deck there with the Skeleton King. Of course, the Skeleton King just able to get so much value on Lucas's very unusually crafted deck, the Balloon without a Lava Hound.
And then Lucas finishes it off with a nice graveyard deck and just timing those pushes with the Giant so well. Just always had the right amount of elixir so that as the very moment the Giant crossed the bridge, he could put that graveyard down and make sure that Titan had the absolute minimum amount of time to prepare defenses for all of those skeletons popping up.
Yeah, I mean, just so many troops in the arena. Titan just didn't have all the answers with the poison and the log. It just wasn't enough. The monk not doing enough to kind of deflect any of Lucas's troops, because he didn't really have any of those ranged troops for the monk to really get any value.
Okay, well, that was the story of Titan and Lucas, but we'll move on to our next match in the lower bracket now. It's going to be Furin versus Sub.
Oh, here we go. The Turkish versus, I believe, the Brazilian right here. So, Furin has made an appearance in a few other LPL tournaments, and I believe Sub has too. So, who is going to take it out? Both of these players are very, very good, and I believe that Sub is on track for his the Clash Royale League leaderboard to get the 6th golden ticket.
Yeah, I think he did manage to lock that one up. Having a look. I can't see. No, yeah, okay, yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, I think he might be well on his way there. Whereas, yeah, his opponent Furin is pretty close, right? We're gonna have a look at this first game between these two powerhouse players right now. As Furin tries to make his way even further up. As we mentioned, I think a little bit earlier in the broadcast, Riley, who did manage to continue on with his winning streak, is 25 points ahead on the community leaderboard right now. And just to give you guys, you know, some sort of idea about how important that is, as he starts making a nice little balloon push here, guarded by the Valkyrie. You know, that's the difference between, say, getting a 5th, which would be 40 points, and getting 3rd, which would be 65. So they really want to be moving further up there, because a good tournament by Furin here could change things.
Indeed, so many points up for grabs there for the community leaderboard, and it looks like the Void is going to let the Goblin Demolisher in motion, and the Lava Hound there being revealed there by Sub. Evo Valk is going to be crucial if he wants to kind of pull all those troops in to take them down a little further into the game. But now, we've got a Lava Hound with an Inferno Dragon.
His best friend coming in behind him, the balloon. We'll see if it's somewhere around. This time, guards at the last moment will stop that the knight getting any damage in. And the blue will actually go on the right side here. Trying to take a few shots from the guards first, but luckily he's cycled already around to that Evo Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, Furin doesn't really have a lot of air defense cards, does he? I mean, he's got the Tesla and the Ice Spirit, but looks like really that's about it for right now. So he needs to do what Noah did before, and which is really cycle those Teslas as much as possible to take down the Lava Loon. Otherwise, it's just going to be a free run to the tower.
I mean, we were talking before about how effective the Valkyrie is as a counter to Goblin Drill. And, I mean, you know, probably more so when you're thinking about just the normal drill. Obviously, Evo Drill, as it jumps around, is a little bit harder for her to deal with. Leaking just a little bit of elixir here as Sub decides where he's going to place that balloon. Tesla does come out, draws it back towards the bridge, and that means even the death damage won't find its way to the tower.
Yeah, if that was me, the Tesla would be at the bridge and the balloon would be connecting at the tower. The timing for that is actually quite tricky to nail that, so that was very well played there. But an Evo Drill now coming by Furin there on the right-hand side. Meanwhile, the Knight, as well as the Goblin Demolisher, is going to be trying to make some damage there on the right-hand side, but it looks like he just has the defensive cards that he needs.
A few little chips of damage do get through with the Evo Drill, but Evo Valkyrie, a pretty good response to it. We're starting to see the tempo getting pushed up here as the Lava Hound's not even played at the back anymore. Goblin Demolisher makes it onto the tower. One of the first big hits we've seen of this game. And looks Sub still ahead, Astro, but only by a little bit now.
Yeah, I mean, things are so close right now. He had to use the drill on defense as a building, which is, of course, one of the very versatile cards in this game. You can use it as a spell, a building, an offensive troop, and a defensive troop. So we see one of those usages right there. But considering the lack of air attacking cards Furin has, he's doing pretty well against his Lava Loon, I reckon, Gino.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes to show how good Evo Tesla is, that you can just rely on it this much. Of course, this time he plays it just across from the bridge, which means that the balloon goes directly at it, but paired with these powerful cannon towers, nothing seems to penetrate the defenses. And I say nothing, of course, he is ahead 500 HP right now, maybe even 600. But yeah, it seems like it's really just been a few scant hits enough to get him over the line. 10 seconds left. What can he do? He's even going to start popping the void on the tower. It doesn't do a huge amount, but it's enough as the Globulin drill doesn't chip away. And Sub will take the first match.
Unbelievable there. I mean, with just 2 air defense cards, still manages to doesn't manage to defend against that Lava Loon with the Inferno Dragon. I mean, the Lava Hound didn't really connect. The Inferno Dragon didn't connect to the tower. The Balloon didn't connect. But what did was some of those death bombs. Maybe 1 or 2 pops here and there. Just those cheeky little chip damages to the tower. Just edge Furin ahead. Just edge Sub ahead there in place of Furin.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? It's almost like the opposite of what you expect when a Lava Loon deck wins. Usually, it's like a big push through. It's a you can sneak one of those balloons in for one big hit, but yeah, as you say, it really was just a little bit here and there, and it adds up.
Yeah, I mean, of course. The Goblin Drill on the right-hand side tower did get a little bit of chip damage here and there, but wasn't able to really have that breakthrough he needed. I mean, we did see one Demolisher connect, which was really good for him there. But apart from that, he was chipping, but just not as much as the Lava Loon deck.
Yeah, it felt like with the Valkyrie in the back pocket as well, he was pretty much always saving that as a response to the drill, which just allowed him to keep pulling further and further ahead.
Yeah, indeed. So that gives him the first win. And now round 2. Lava Loon's out of the question. Drill's out of the question. We haven't seen Evo P.E.K.K.A yet. Can we have a best of 3 without Evo P.E.K.K.A? Now that's the question.
I mean, are you a little bit surprised that Lava Loon's been coming out as a first deck pick so often so far today?
I am kind of surprised because that is something that is maybe a little bit more reliable. You might want to use it in deck 2 or 3 to surprise your opponents. So, yeah, I mean, I guess some of these players have a strategy in mind with the Lava Loon.
Interesting. Okay, well, it's been used up for Sub and been used very well as Furin once again is going to pick on the cannon tower, which is going to be rough when he's going up against a multi-pronged attack from Sub. The Royal Hogs versus P.E.K.K.A and Cannon. I don't know, that seems like a rough matchup to me.
Yeah, I mean, the P.E.K.K.A is just going to be able to kill some of those hogs there. But he doesn't have, so far, we don't know what splash attacking damage troops we have. But there we go, the Goblin Giant making its first appearance there on the right-hand side. It is going to be in the evolution spot. So Sub decides to pressure the left lane.
Okay, plus the rage going down on it as well. Stab after stab hits the tower, and Sub has already lost a crown.
Unbelievable there. I mean, all he had was the Goblin Giant, and I guess Rage is a common combination with the Goblin Giant, so maybe Sub should have expected that, and the Royal Hogs just not being able to get enough damage there on the left-hand side tower. So he's in a bit of a deficit right now.
That's an incredibly hard start for Sub, and wow, to overcome this now is going to be a mountain to climb. A nice placement of the cannon means that the Archer Queen at the very least doesn't get roped in by the Fish Boy here, but here comes that Goblin Giant that did so much damage last time.
Yeah, and there we go, the Rage on the right-hand side tower to try and take some of those Royal Hogs. Meanwhile, the Evil Ice Spirit making another appearance there, defeating some of those troops there at the bridge quite nicely. I mean, against the Evo P.E.K.K.A, you really want the Fisherman, but the Fisherman has changed sides and is playing with the Evo P.E.K.K.A.
Nice prediction log there is going to take out some of the Goblins on the defense, but the Royal Hog's still getting in a bit of damage. subs. Damage is spread out over both towers here, though, Astro, and he's only got 25 seconds to try and convert some damage and make this game go longer. Because look, honestly, if he can push it into overtime, then maybe he's got a chance. But if he can't, then, well, obviously, Furkin's just going to take it. And it feels like that might be the case here. Evo Skeleton's not going to be enough. Doesn't really have time to cycle enough spells here. Good work from Furkin to bring that one back. That was just a massive attack from the start that really did, yeah, everything he needed it to.
Yeah, I mean, the Mother Witch just swapped the brains off the Royal Hogs, changing it from a Royal Hogs to an enemy Royal Hog there. And of course, with the Rage, also a very good defensive card on the Cannoneer, because the Cannoneer, it just can't take down the Royal Hogs as fast enough as, let's say, if you had a Princess Tower. So raging up your Cannoneer on defense, a very smart play there by him.
Yeah, it's interesting that yeah, you know, making those kind of plays on your own towers is now a thing that people can think about as well, with the introduction of the different tower troops. So, okay, well, that's one game down so far, and yeah, I mean, look, it was a bit of a blunder early on that cost Sub that game, but we've got 1-1. And now we get to go into a third game and see what happens. Who's going to be Sub? Honestly, look, he's, you know, I feel like when you stumble like that and you have such a big game, or such a big deficit, you know, at the start of that game, does that, you know, does that get in your head, or does that allow you to sort of just throw it out and be like, oh, look, that was a mistake. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't that, you know, I picked my deck wrong, or, you know, that it was, you know, he's just generally better than me. It's just one thing that I can fix and have, you know, better on, you know, better when we get back to that final game.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't casting the first season, but I did try in the open qualifiers, and there were situations where I was down like 1,000 or 2,000 HP within the first 30 seconds, and I was like, okay, I made a terrible mistake here, and I'm probably going to lose the rest of this match. But I'm sure that these professional players have a different mentality. So we have seen some insane turnarounds in the last couple of seasons that we've had. So it is possible, but you really have to have faith in what you've picked.
Yeah, look, tilt's a real thing. I mean, you know, you take a big loss like that. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes you don't recover. Sometimes it leads to more mistakes because it's just living rent free in your mind. I think, you know, the longer I'm in esports, the more I see that, and the more it becomes a reality. You can have the best deck choices. You can, you know, you can practice as much as you want, but if your head's not in the game, when you press that go button, it can cause, you know, some pretty severe issues for you.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important having, let's say, a coach with you on a voice call as you make some of these moves, you know, just kind of telling you what the elixir might be or what the opponent might be running. So you just have that little bit of support there, especially if you are in a sticky situation. But now 1-1, Sub versus Furkin, it could be anyone's game right now. I'm actually surprised that it took us so long to see the Evolution Goblin Giant to come out onto the scene.
Yeah, well, either way, players have got a few less options now, as they always do in this the final duel. And for anyone wondering why, you know, it's a little bit longer between games, it's not the duel format that you'll get when you're playing your clan wars or whatever else. These players do get time to retool their decks in between matches. So it's an out of you know, sort of an out of game duels format where you can be a little bit more reactive and thoughtful, I suppose, as we go from one game to the next.
Yeah, it just makes it a little bit more competitive, I guess, for players to pick some decks to maybe counter the other opponent. Maybe if they've run some cards already, how can you counter the deck? So as much as playing the game, picking decks is also a very important skill to have in Clash Royale, and that's why we've got the coaches.
Definitely a big part of Clash Royale, and I feel like as time goes on, just getting bigger. Honestly, the impact that some of those coaches have on the team, or the players, I should say, and yeah, how they're able to help these guys, very quickly. Because obviously you've only got a couple of minutes in between a match to make those very important decisions about what you're including. Oh, interesting. We see a naked graveyard at the back here. Now, was that... okay, follows it up with the poison here. So actually getting some value off of that as he traps both the wizard and the prince within the poison.
Yeah, a naked graveyard, not something that you would play unless the opponent is running Cannoneer, because the Princess Tower just can't deal with all of those skeletons all at once. So 1000 HP down there on the left-hand side gives Sub a little bit of an advantage as we head closer into double elixir time.
Yeah, Miner being successful in getting some good chip at the moment, but Sub having to rely a lot on the Phoenix. It can do the damage against the Miner, but it can't stop it. It means it's a little harder to, well, not harder, it's impossible for it to completely stop the damage as you'd like with, say, a Knight or a Valkyrie, if you can get that prediction on the position correct.
Indeed, and there we go, another Monk there at the back on the right-hand side. Sub does have the Ice Wizard, which could get some of the reflections, but apart from that, not really. So the Monk not really getting any value in the last few games that we've seen, but of course the Evil Wizard looks like it's going to do a lot of work there on the right-hand side coming through.
Yeah, a lot of action going down on this right-hand side. Sub sort of sighing a breath of relief as everything finally gets cleared up, and even manages to sneak in one shot with the Knight there. That was actually pretty important, I'd say, in terms of evening things up, as it seems like he is getting more and more locked into this right-hand tower. Hence, protection there does get a couple of reflection shots in. And there we go, 1800s on both towers now for Furin.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that tornado play on the wizard pulling into the left-hand side. It looks like he's trying to deflect some of the damage, but the graveyard on the right-hand side doing so much work there with the poison and the miner not being able to defend quite enough. But now Furin has his own counter push there with the mortar. And it looks like he's going to get a lucky tornado there on some of the Goblin gang.
Solids, and as that mortar continues to throw more goblins into the mix, Sub forced to continue committing defenses to this side. Has managed to get the lead, but really can't afford a Prince hit on the tower, and it got so close. But he has bought himself just enough time to get the Goblin Cage down and draw the aggro as this Monk continues to get value out of his ability onto those reflection tower damage.
Yeah, not able to quite get value, but he is chipping away there. But the Prince is going to meet the cage on the right-hand side. The mortar is trying to make its way through to the tower, but there are a lot of troops to get through. Meanwhile, his poison is just quietly chipping away on the right-hand side tower with less than 700 HP to go. It looks like all he needs is one more graveyard and a couple more poisons.
Okay, let's see if Sub does have time for that. 23 seconds left. Evolved Mortar is on the ground, and the Miner is also on the tower. Getting him back within striking distance now. One hit away, and a big hit all of a sudden turns the tides. Is that enough for Furin? The poison comes out, and it's not enough in the dying seconds. Furin will steal the series away from Sub.
Oh, wow, unbelievable there. I think the mortar just managed to sneak one shot there from one of the cards. I'm not sure if he played the tornado to pull some of the troops closer to the tower, but that one mortar shell is all he needed to turn the tide and take the victory in this next match.
Yeah, look, without that, I'm pretty sure it would have gone the other way. So it's fascinating, isn't it, in CR sometimes how that one decision will be enough to flip things in your favor. And we know that Furkin's playing for a lot here. We've talked about it before, but we'll have to keep talking about it because it's probably one of the biggest storylines in this tournament, that Furkin is so close to grabbing that golden ticket via the community leaderboard. So if he can continue to do well here, and especially if he can continue to do better than Riley, all of a sudden he might be finding himself at the World Finals.
Yeah, indeed, that possibility is definitely there, as you see Deck 1 the drill with the poison against the lava loon. And let's just see, I believe it was Sub who took out the first win with the lava loon, but the second deck, the Mother Witch, turning the brains of some of these hogs.
Yeah, the hogs were an interesting one, but the Goblin Giant just too strong in deck number 2 for Furkin, and then he finishes it off with the Mortar, and especially the Monk as well was doing a pretty good job in deck 3. Really struggled with some of those minor predictions as well, and it was a close game here. All credit to Sub, but Furkin just not by much, but the better player here. Yeah,
it was so close. It could have been anyone's game. Sub was in it to win it for the whole thing, except the very last 10 seconds when there's so many troops on the map, triple elixir time, and just one slip away, and then that costs you the win. So Sub goes home with no money, but it's not over for him. I believe he is still going to be there in the World Finals at the end of the year.
All right, well, we've got one more match for the lower bracket, sending one more player home before we move on. We've got 2 more matches in the upper bracket tonight, but for now, it's going to be, we've got Rono versus Saudi here. Can you tell us anything about these players, Astro?
Yeah, I mean, Saudi is definitely a well-known player from Egypt, helping Mohamed Light in some of those country versus country matchups where Egypt just seems to win every single one of them. So he's very popular in the scene, but I'm not sure about Roanoke. I haven't really heard much about him, but of course he has to be good considering he's made it this far, right?
Exactly. It's pretty hard to even get yourself on the broadcast here. Not gonna lie, you got to be not only, what was it, top 16, top 12 or something that we saw tonight. So once again, Lava Hound makes a first round appearance, but this time it's not just the Tesla on the defense. He's also got the Inferno Dragon. Does that mean he's got Lava Loot? Yes, it does.
Oh, wow. Here we go. Do we have another mirror matchup now? Lava with the Inferno Dragon against each other. And it looks like we've got Princes on both sides. So that is going to be slightly more helpful to take down some of the troops. So I guess it's going to be up to who can cycle better, who can collect more elixir to have a more lethal push, because it looks like with the Inferno Dragon, the lava hounds are not going to get past the bridge.
It's interesting sometimes in these mirror matchups, you can just get some very small differences that will have things leaning one way or the other. Nice pull there, means that the Barbarians do eventually find the Valkyrie, one of their natural counters. And with about half health left, he's got a little bit of time to try and sneak some damage in with this balloon. Does it get the hit? Gets the reset with the snowball. That's 2 bombs onto the tower. Massive moves by Saudi.
Slick move there. Wow, the snowball just slowing everything down on the left-hand side and just maybe not giving Rono the reaction time that he needed against that, because the snowball just comes so quickly there and you're just kind of freezing and panicking and hope something happens. But now we have a huge counter push. The Skeleton Dragons are pushing the Lava Hound all the way to the tower. Tesla a little too late.
Oh, but I mean, you know, we even got a Valk hit in there to rub salt into the wound. And look, you say too late, and yeah, look, he got one hit in, but was that enough? A massive commitment on the right side. Rono has to turn things around with this Evo Barbs plus Balloon combo, and he doesn't get anywhere near enough done. It's still a massive lead for Saudi, almost 1,000 HP here.
Yeah, is that one mistake by Rono gonna cost him the rest of this game? The Lava Hound looks like it's latched onto the tower, but the Inferno Dragon's gonna actually be taken out by the rest of the spells there, and we have a lot of troops on the right-hand side.
All of a sudden, the pups are getting enough damage done, plus that Evo Bomber coming in here. That Roanoke has evened things up, almost completely even here, and he continues to push. This time, it's really the Skeleton Dragons being one of the key differentiators between these two decks. They just seem very hard to deal with from Saudi as they sit behind these healthier tanks and continue to cause problems.
Yeah, the Inferno Dragon against the Valkyrie there. I'm not sure about the matchup, but the balloons going there on the right-hand side. The snowball coming there. Is it still gonna make it?
It felt like Saudi was doing everything he could to try and enable his balloon to get there first and deal the finishing blow, but just had nothing left in the tank. He'd pretty much thrown all his anti-air at that previous offense, and you know, to deal with the Skeleton Dragons, to deal with the Lava Hound that just continued to get onto the tower. So, wow, there was a bit of a roller coaster there in that game.
Indeed. I mean, it's a Lava Loon deck, but we never really saw the Lava Hound paired with the Loon. It was just like, send the Lava with the Inferno Dragon, see what you can do, and then send the Balloon, the Naked Balloon by itself with some other support cards. So, unusual combinations when you have got Lava Loon against Lava Loon, and but in this case, Roanoke takes the first victory.
Yep, solid play from Roanoke, and we get, you know, not an exact mirror matchup, but definitely, you know, Lava Loon versus Lava Loon. We're just seeing how important the Tesla is in that matchup as well, aren't we? I mean, it feels like it's been a huge factor in pretty much every battle we've had against those air-centric decks.
Yeah, I mean, with the Tesla, Evo Tesla as well, it does have the 2 cycles, so you do have to place 2 Teslas before you can get to that evolution, because if you place the Evo Tesla, of course, the spawn damage is going to reset all the troops so that it attacks the Tesla, but because the decks are so heavy, we can't really have so many of those Teslas that often.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's a very powerful defensive unit, a very powerful evolution as well. So I think that's something that you can do to balance it a little bit more. I mean, yeah, you know, the fact that it's got the guaranteed sort of, you know, zap on placement and death now as well makes it very good when you've got swarms like the pups that come out of the Lava Hound too.
Oh yeah, it's indeed so effective. So that's why you just got to time that Evo Tesla at the correct time so that it can just take out all of those pups. But of course, with such a heavy deck, it's really hard to get that through. And the Evo Valkyrie not being able to get that much value against the Evo Barbs. I mean, I know Barbs are a very good combination to run with the Lava Hound, the Lava Loon decks, in case the opponent does run a beatdown. You can surround the cards very nicely, but against air cards, it does feel quite different.
Yeah. I mean, I think, trying to sneak them through that one time when he saw the Valkyrie go in the opposite lane and he was like, yeah, maybe I can get it through this time. But even then, managed to pull the aggro over towards them and deal with the Evo Barb. So yeah, they really never kind of got anything done. But in the end, didn't matter. Still managed to get over the line with the dub. And I'm sure soon we'll be moving on to game 2.
Indeed. I mean, we haven't seen Evo Pekka. We haven't seen, well, basically, we haven't seen anything apart from Lava Loon. And it looks like, speaking about the Evo Pekka.
Speaking of Evo Pekka, it's almost on the tower. Well, the normal one at least. And we're a little bit into the game. Anyway, Phoenix goes towards the tower. This time it's Princess versus Cannon. And we've even got Rono's camera on. Just for anyone who likes to, watch the players mold as, something goes wrong for them, or if you're a supporter, probably see some cool celebrations.
Yeah, indeed. Both players are very focused on their games right now, just seeing who can get more value out of the cards they place. Mother Witch is going to be key against some of those skeletons if he manages to place it in the correct way. But the Royal Giant is going to face an Evo Pekka.
We've talked about how problematic this is, but all of a sudden, we see some big damage come through. And just to, we do have a switch up on the names here, so and the cameras. So just so everyone's aware, it is Rono on the bottom here, and Saudi playing from the top. So that was Rono that managed to get the 1,000 damage through there with the Royal Giant.
Indeed, and now we have an Evolution Royal Giant. I don't think the Goblins are going to do much in defense, but the Fisherman is going to pull it all the way to the tower. But not only with the pull, it is also going to slow it down, preventing it from getting that one extra shot there. But despite all that, Rono does have quite a good lead right now.
Ooh, nice little defense with the Skellies as well. I mean, when you force out an arrows for a 1 elixir unit, you've done something right. And the fact that he's mixed up the lanes there means that he also gets some value off with that Royal Giant.
Quite a funny interaction there. As a fireball was about to kill the Mother Witch, the Fisherman just pulled it away, but the Evo Pekka is going to be left uncontested, but the Mother Witch is going to turn some of the skeletons to it. Oh, the Evo Pekka onto the King Tower.
Okay. And yeah, there we go. Doesn't matter. Gets the damage through. So that was Saudi taking one back. So assuming we had it right the first time, that means we are 1-1 now in this matchup.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the Evo Pekka just inching ever so close. Fisherman doing all it can to try and pull the Evo Pekka away, but just not able to distract it enough. As we see the stats for this game, Saudi with the very heavy 4.0 elixir deck.
Do you reckon he's getting any coaching from Mohamed Light,
I'm not sure about that, considering Mohamed Light is playing in this tournament, but you never know.
I feel like I've noticed that in a lot of esports where you have a really good player or a really good team in a game, and they tend to share a bit more knowledge with people from their own country, and then you tend to get a bunch of players from the same region or the same country that kind of come up together because they get to share in a lot of that sort of top level knowledge and whatnot. So yeah, look, just wondering because we don't see a lot of Egyptian players in a lot of other esports titles. I would say, and certainly obviously Mohamed's been such a dominant player in CR for quite some time now.
Indeed. I mean, he's won 3 monthly finals so far and, of course, secured his golden ticket to the finals. We will see a bit of his game later tonight, hopefully. But, yeah, I mean, he's doing so well right now. And Saudi is 1 game away from advancing into the lower bracket.
Yeah, it's, yeah. I mean, I was going back through some of Mohamed's stats earlier today, and I think he's at about like a 50% win rate in like the community tournaments he's played in so far. He's an absolute beast, and yeah, we will be getting some action with him when we go back up to the upper bracket. That'll be after this match, but we're just yeah. It always feels like game 3 is the one that we wait the longest for, because obviously, the players might have a sort of something set in mind for game 1, and then maybe even a little something for game 2. And then obviously at that point, you've seen a lot of what the opponents used, so you have more information that you kind of need to input into your matrix and sort of work around to try and retool your deck, because you've got to, okay, all right, so these spells are out, these cards are out, what can I do? Where can I find the chink in the armor that will get me over the finish line here in game 3?
Yeah, and that's what really makes this format really fun, right? The dual decks. You can't run the same card more than once, forces you to strategize and to come up with other ways to defeat your opponent. Because imagine running Evo P.E.K.K.A, Evo Drill every single game. That would get a little boring after not too long.
No, it would. It'd get stale a little bit fast, and it's it's great, because I think it really does make so many of the cards playable, right? When you have to think about different ways to, have win conditions, buildings, defensive units, everything, yeah, it really does change things up. All right. Either way, we've got Mortar and we've got Archers. I think that's the first time today we've seen the Evo Archers. We've got the cams correctly set up this time, and Rono has just face palmed because he's really let go of this game in the first minute.
Wow, blink and you miss it. Rono makes a series of catastrophic mistakes, and now looking that Saudi has got Bowler just kind of nodding in disbelief what's happening right now. It looks like the fate has already been set. Can we see a turnaround with Evo Archer and Evo Mortar?
It would require something pretty special here, Rono. How is he going to do this? We've got a bowler on the King Tower, and he's going to set up the mortar behind. As you can see, though, it's even harder after losing that tower, because now Saudi can spawn the Goblin Gang directly on top of the mortar. The stabbing Goblin doing the damage even quicker. I mean, yeah, look, it's probably fair to say this one's done and dusted.
Yeah, indeed. With the Cannoneer against the Graveyard, a slight chance of hope there for Rono, but he really needs something miraculous to happen within the last minute, or maybe Saudi to make a mistake of his own there. It looks like Saudi is just going to play it safe right now, place his cards at the back, maybe in the middle, to try and defend against Rono's stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'd need a mistake of equal magnitude, really, to get him back there. Look, he's chipped away half of the tower already. Interesting that it was Mortar v Mortar, just barely sort of got a chance to see that. The Hunter comes out. Yeah, now there's a card I haven't seen in quite some time. And paired up with that Mortar is the Evo Archers on both sides as a kind of good pair together. But you can see, I mean, Roanoke's putting the mortar down on the right side there. I'm not sure what he was kind of hoping to happen there when he only had left to do on the other side. Saudi gives us the fist pump and moves on. Wow, that was, yeah, an unfortunate end to the series there for Roanoke.
Yeah, a little disappointing there, as we see from Roanoke of his mistakes that he made within the first minute of that game there. Just a lot of troops coming on the left-hand side, the Goblins. It was just a little too much for Roanoke to defend against, and he just wasn't able to clutch back within in the remaining 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, you can see similar decks, just a little bit different, but the difference in damage was palpable between the two.
3.6 versus 3.4 Elixir, similar in cycle, both running mortars, but one is running Graveyard. Meanwhile, the other one was with the bowler.
Yeah, it's funny that we had 2 out of the 3 games were mirror matchups between these two. Very similar thought patterns, it seems, as we saw a Lava Hound game to start off with, where the Skelly Dragons really seemed to work well. And then it was the Royal Giant v P.E.K.K.A matchup.
Indeed, the Goblin Giant versus with the P.E.K.K.A, 2 evolutions that are really strong in the meta right now. Just managed to hammer that Royal Giant home. Meanwhile, third game, another mirror matchup.
Yeah, we had the Mortars coming out. Monk versus Hunter. Some interesting tech options between them. They both did have Mortar, but what is that? Every single other card, apart from the Archers, was different time. So, look, congratulations there to Saudi, and now we are going to move on to the upper bracket with some of those really spicy matches that you guys have been looking forward to. We'll get to both of those, but first we're just going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the upper bracket semi-finals.
Introducing the new and improved LetsPlay.Live. New look, new feel, new tournaments. Play and compete in dozens of esports tournaments from Open Division to Pro. Check out our new platform at LetsPlay.Live.
Introducing LPL Tournament Builder. Build your own tournaments for up to 16 participants in 3 easy steps. Choose one of the 53 supported titles across PC, console, and mobile. Select the tournament format and number of participants. Set the prizes for your tournament. It's that simple. Your tournaments, your community, your way. Try LPL Tournament Builder for free today at Let's Play Live. Play for free and win prizes with LPL Showdown, a weekly tournament series at Let's Play Live. Currently available for Brawl Stars and more. Earn LPL points to redeem in the Showcase shop for subscriptions, digital and physical prizes. Subscribers can also win cash prizes and receive double the LPL points. Sign up for free today at Let's Play Live.
Well, we've already had some exciting stuff here so far tonight, but in day 1 of the LPL Clash Royale World Tour 2024 Season 2, we've still got 2 matches to go, and they might just be the best ones yet of the night, Astro, because you better believe it. If we have a look at the upper bracket, we are going to be watching none other than Mohamed Light take on Ali.
Indeed, finally we get to see the GOAT himself in the first match here in the upper bracket round 3. And then later, Adriel versus Riley. That's also going to be a very juicy match. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, Adriel versus Riley, certainly not to sniff at. Riley, he only barely made it through his last matchup, whereas Adriel was looking fierce. So I kind of got my my chips, pushed over to the Adriel side, but we'll get to that one in a second, because first, we have to take Mohamed Light versus the challenger, and that's going to be Ali today. Will Mo get even further into this tournament as he's done before? If we cast our minds back to season 1 of our pro division this year, it was Mo who came out on top. Can he do it again? Can he repeat it here so far and take out that top prize? Well, we're about to see if he gets one step closer to that goal.
Yep, he won the $5,500 in the first season as well as the second season of last year. Just incredible gameplay. And I believe he did that without a bracket reset, so he didn't lose a single game right now, as we see Mohamed Light conferring with his coach how to start this game.
Well, he'll start off with an Ice Spirit, and he's met with one in kind of the Electro Persuasion from Ali, who, is not sitting on a throne of his own, but he's got the gamer chair at least. So, both players doing what they can to get this started. Obviously, if we're looking back at the bracket and their sort of journey to this so far, we saw Mo take out Wallace 2-0. Then we saw him take out Sub. That was a 2-1, so did drop a game there. Whereas Ali, that was a 2-0 versus Perry to start off with. And then he also dropped a game versus Saudi in round 2. So that was a 2-1 victory as well. So yeah, similar win rate for both of the players going into this third round.
Yeah, both players haven't lost a match so far, but one person will need to lose a match in order to secure that next upper bracket finals. Evo Pekka now coming on the left-hand side, paired with the Evolution Royal Giant. It's also a combination that we've seen a couple of times tonight. What is Mohamed Light's last card with the Earthquake? It looks like it could be the Hogs, and there it is.
Oh, I wonder if those Hogs were trying to come out there and maybe, steal some of the attention from the P.E.K.K.A so that the Queen could get some extra, damage in. Either way, it doesn't matter because the Hogs just connect to the tower, and that was a beautiful response by Mo. I mean, he calculated the P.E.K.K.A damage. You could see he was half a step away from taking a shot at the tower, but, if it's Mo, you kind of expect him to know that exactly, and he gets it just right, and you can see Ali is not happy about that interaction.
Yeah, and now as he plays his Evo Pekka, Ali doesn't have anything to answer for the Royal Hogs. He's hoping that this Evo Pekka somehow reaches the tower, but with the Evo Tesla able to stun all troops in the vicinity, how is the Royal Giant going to connect? We have a second Tesla on the map with 20 seconds to go. Things are not looking good for Ali.
Not at all. Those Hogs were just unanswered every time they went up there. They were essentially allowed to do full damage, and as Ali pulls out his Evo Royal Giant, that's not going to be anywhere near enough as Mo just floods defenses over there, and in a couple of fell swoops is able to take down Ali in the first game here in our best of 3.
Yeah, I mean, things were looking a little dicey at some moments in time there. I mean, he allowed the Royal Giant, the Evo Royal Giant, to get so many hits on the right-hand side. I was thinking that, okay, Mo is in a little bit of trouble right now, but the Royal Hogs just managed to get a couple hundred more chip damage onto Ali's tower, and that decision to just leave that Royal Giant proved to be effective in securing this first victory.
Yeah, it just feels like he always has a bead on when he can trade for a superior amount of damage, right? It's, sometimes you just have the choices where it's like, yeah, look, I could defend against this and then, make a weak counter push that probably gets mopped up. Or I take a big hit, take like 1,000 damage, but I deal 2,000 back. And that's a trade that you should be making every time. But having the understanding of the game to be able to see those opportunities is something that, only a few players can do. And Mo, of course, is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I mean, you really need to count your opponent's elixir, know what hand they have in cycle. Basically, you need to be able to look at your opponent's phone without looking at it, just by looking at the cards that have been placed before and the timings, etc. And so there's a lot of things to consider for these players when they make decisions like that too. Let's say leave a Royal Giant, send my Hogs to the tower. But we know that Hogs and Hog is some of Mo's favorite decks. So is he going to change it up, or is he going to stay safe and run another Hog deck?
Yeah, no doubt the Hog EQ deck is lying in wait somewhere in Mo's back catalog. But I mean, I think we also see that sometimes from these players in that, you know, let's say they have a specific version of the deck that they want to run throughout this tournament. You know, they'd rather surprise a better player with it later in the tournament than bring it out earlier, right? So, you know, if he thinks he's, you know, this far ahead of Ali, as it kind of looked, honestly, in that first game, why not go for one of the other decks that he's got up his sleeve and leave, you know, a specific variation of, you know, the Hog deck for a little bit later in the tournament when it can be, when it can come out and have a bigger impact against a bigger player.
True that. I mean, a very safe, comfortable deck for Mohamed Live does give him that victory in the first round. So he is, a little bit of pressure has been taken off him. So Ali, is he going to change it up and run something unconventional to try and shake up Mohamed Live's confidence? Or is he going to run, let's say, another Lava Loon?
Yeah, exactly. Could be either of those, right? Yeah, that's a good point, though. Is the first game we haven't seen Lava Loon come out from one of the players in game one, just as a little bit of a change up here. It's obviously, yeah, it's seen a little bit of success. Is there anything that you can point to about why? Look, actually, no, we'll talk about that if we actually come across that permutation. As we get into game number 2, we're seeing Mo always, look at that, just so ready. Even when that Fire Spirit comes out, replies immediately with a Goblin Barrel at the bridge, just to give him like the chance of getting, you know, some extra value.
Indeed, and the Drill making another appearance there for Ali. And of course, Goblin Demolisher, a very strong unit to be released, one of the 3 Goblin cards that have been released in the recent update.
Okay, we do see the Tesla being forward enough to prevent a respawn from the ashes there for the Phoenix. Mo trying to clog up this Golden Knight in front of the cannon car, and he does. He manages to get the dashing dash onto the tower, and not only that, but a couple of hits as well. For the second time in a row, Mo's got a big lead right from the start.
And it looks like the lead has just been lost because the Drill and the Goblin Demolisher has demolished half of Mohamed Light's tower there on the right-hand side. He's not looking too pleased, just thinking about what his next interactions are going to be. But we see the Evolution Drill now going to be popping up 3 times around the arena. How is Mohamed Light going to defend against this? He's just going to leave it, actually. He's just going to allow the cannon card to do its work while soaking up a little bit of damage to try and catch up on that lost elixir.
We get some raised eyebrows, though. You know, was he a little bit unhappy about how much damage it actually got through there in the end? Because, yeah, all of a sudden, we do see the lead taken on by Ali, and Zappies are going to stop any death damage from getting too close to Mohamed Light here, but the Drill of his own doesn't get anywhere near the kind of damage we saw come out of Ali.
Yeah, and with the Drill getting the evolution as well, we can see where the Drill has been placed by the little purple icon on the top. But wow, the Poison and the Knight just chipping away on the right-hand side tower. Mohamed Light not looking too happy with 30 seconds to go. He's hoping that this evolution Drill is the answer to his problems.
Oh, only 500 health left. This is going to be a tough comeback to engineer for Mo Light. The cannon can't get stopped just shy of the range needed to start hitting towards that tower. And with the Tesla on defense as well, Ali's going to lock this down tight. You can see him questioning something in his head. He's trying to work out maybe what cards Mo has in his hand. You know, has he used all 8? Has he seen everything that he's got to throw at him? Either way, with the poison and the little bit of chip damage that the drill does get upon appearance, he inches closer to taking out this game and tying things up.
Yeah, Ali's just playing a little safe right now, trying to defend as much as he can. Meanwhile, the drill is coming down, the evolution drill with the poison, and looks like that's going to allow Ali to get his victory against the goat. Puts on the glasses for some analysis time.
I mean, is that the same pair? Because it kind of looks like the same pair, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, wow, unbelievable. Mohamed lied, taking a loss. Did we expect this against someone like Ali, who's tried so hard, by the way, in the last few open qualifiers that we've had in the last season? We've always seen him in the qualifiers making so close to the pro division, but just not making it there. And this time, making his run all the way, now 1 win away to defeat Mohamed Light.
Yeah, I mean, imagine having that on your resume. Obviously, these players get, you know, a reasonable amount of chances to come up against each other, whether it's, you know, in double elimination tournaments or just playing each other on the ladder all the time if they're up there at the tippity top. But, you know, having an official tournament win over Mohamed Light is certainly something that you can hang your hat on. I mean, we keep displaying like the win percentages of these players, and Mose is usually up there at like 80 plus. Right, so to get the best 2 out of 3 against that, it's yeah, it's pretty tough.
I would be taking 10 screenshots of that if that happened to me. But these players are trying to gear towards making a deck for deck 3 because the drill, Evo drill, is out of the question so far.
Yep, with the mirror matchup we saw there, not going Mo's way. I mean, just having a look at you know, the 2 decks we saw, was there anything that stood out about Mo's deck which might have you know, made it a little bit more susceptible to the Evo drill that Ali was using?
Yeah, I mean, both players did run the Evo drill, but Ali was using the poison, which was a good kind of chip damage onto Mohamed Light's defense cards around the drill, so that did help him a little bit as well. But Tesla being run by Ali was also another good card to defend against, let's say, the Cannon card and the Golden Knight to try and prevent those troops from reaching the tower. So a couple of good card selections there. The drill is now out of the question, and we're just 1 win away from seeing who gets to the next round in the upper bracket.
Yeah, so look, we were talking about, you know, do you keep a deck in the back pocket, or do you go with, you know, whatever is your 100%, you know, just golden ace kind of, you know, the one that you can rely on. Well, now that we're up to game 3, maybe it is time for Mo to bring that out. It was a very different story between game 1 and game 2, where Ali looked outclassed, and then all of a sudden brought it back with some quality deck building and play there in game 2. So, let's see what these players have got in store for us as we just wait for them to make those final few tinkers to their decks and show us yeah, which one of these players is going to be moving on to I guess it's the winners bracket final is the next step up.
Indeed. I mean, there's a lot of money on stake right now. And of course, for Ali, who I think he's doing not too bad on the community leaderboard, a lot of points for him to try and win. Maybe if he wins 100 points, right, he could potentially be a world finalist. That would be crazy.
Yeah, he's not. If you take out the few players who are already qualified, Ali is sitting in 5th spot on the community leaderboard. So that means he's 55 points right now behind Riley, who leads that particular pack. So As we mentioned, Riley is you know, we'll see that matchup next to see if he gets any further. But Ali is definitely looking for a win here to try and catapult himself further up those standings.
Yes, and this is his best shot, but he does have to get through the mountain first. That is Mohamed Light. As we head into Game 3, who is going to come out victorious?
Okay, Evo Zap. I think that's only the second time we've seen that today. That's going to be run by Ali here as we get the Evo Goblin Barrel for Mohamed Light. So it looks like a bit of a bait deck for him as we see the Princess come out. And Little Pritz has made his first appearance on the broadcast for Season 2.
Interesting now. I think I've seen more Evo Ice Spirit being played than Evo Goblin Barrel, which is a little surprising for me, but I guess these players know better. But looks like the Snowball is going to just freeze everything in the vicinity, allow the Goblin Barrel to get a little bit more chip damage onto the tower, pushing Mohamed Light into a 700 HP lead.
It's a good start. So you got, it's going to be guards to deal with the Princess at the bridge. And then guards in response from Mohamed. So, nice little straight up trade here. But there goes the Evo Barrel, and it's going to be the decoys on the left, the real goblins on the right.
Yeah, I mean the delivery 3 elixir and the Evo Ice Spirit 1 elixir, so that is still a negative elixir trade. Meanwhile, Mohamed Light getting some chip damage onto the left-hand side. Evo Zap coming now just in time. I think Mohamed Light was just half a second too early, too ambitious on that Princess. He could have got another 200 HP damage onto his tower.
A rueful smile coming out from Mohamed to that fact as well. A hell of a snowball pushes the Archer Queen into the opposite lane. That was an interesting move. Bomb Tower, the perfect prediction to include in the deck versus the Royal Hogs. Ali has to be very sad upon seeing that come out onto the field for the first time.
Oh, what a counter to Royal Hogs. If there's one card, it is going to be the Bomb Tower. He's going to have to hope that he somehow gets through Mohamed Light's bait decks with all the goblins being, the Goblin Barrel being rushed around the map right now. With 20 seconds to go, it looks like Mohamed Light has a healthy lead right now.
Yeah, I mean, that said, he's got Earthquake, he's got Evo Zap, which can deal with a Princess, and he's got Royal Delivery. So there is actually a lot of options to deal with some of these cards coming out from Mo, but he's just struggling to keep up at the moment. And you can see that these Goblin Barrels continue to do damage. I mean, heaping it on there with the Snowball just to try and make the Princess Tower take even longer to deal with the Stab Goblins.
Yeah, and the Snowball on the left-hand side for the Hogs is going to slow it down. No Bomb Tower this time, allows a little bit of chip damage, but that's not going to be enough to allow. And Ali with the early good game with still more than 1,000 HP left on the towers, the deliveries, but one of the Goblin Barrels is going to get the damage.
Yeah, I mean, look, the look on his face kind of makes it seem like he has given up at this point, let alone, the early good game, which is, don't love to see it, honestly. I'd like to see him go down fighting here, but maybe he just understands that the deck matchup is too hard and too much for him to make up at this point. There's still a minute left, but every time these Goblin Barrels come down, Ali is taking damage.
Wow, and the Evo Valk as well to add insult to injury, just pulling all of those Hogs away. And it looks like he's just a couple of Goblin Barrels away from victory. The Valkyrie is going to get to the tower on the left-hand side, and it's going to be all but over for Ali. Mohamed Light just chipping away slowly and almost taking down both towers there.
Yeah, almost hit the double KO, except both fatalities were Ali there. The fire spirit was just a half second away from making that reality. And wow, yeah, it just really felt like Mohamed's deck was built for that. It had both the Evo Valkyrie and the Bomb Tower, which, probably even just one of those cards by themselves would be enough to deal with those Royal Hogs, but two meant that he had the counter ready every single time that win condition came on the board from Ali.
Of course, we know Mohamed Light's coach Josie may be helping him to craft these decks to maybe counter what Ali might be running, and in this case, it was able to do so flawlessly, pushing Mohamed Light into that upper bracket final.
A very nice win for the champ himself, looking to defend his title here from Season 1. And that's a good way to try and continue that. Of course, if you get through the winners bracket final, you have that bracket reset option if you need it. But this time, it's going to be Mo-Light taking out Ali 2-1. And even with the Little Prince, you were talking smack about it earlier, Astro. But, if there's anyone who can make it work, it's Mo.
Exactly. I mean, where can the Royal Hogs go? He had the Evo Valkyries to not only get the splash damage but pull the Hogs away from the tower. He had the Bomb Tower to kill them. He had the Little Prince and the dashing ability to push it away if he needed. And he had the Snowball as well as the Fire Spirits. I mean, it was just done and dusted for the Royal Hogs. They're not going to see the light of day.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nuts finish there. Mo walks it home, and before we go home, we've got one more match for the night, Astro, and it's a good one. Don't go anywhere because we've got Adriel versus Riley to finish off. As I mentioned before, Adriel looking very strong in our previous round 2 matchup. Riley just squeaking through. Look, I'm definitely putting my chips on Adriel for this one. How about you, Astro? Do you see the things the same, or do you think Riley's sort of righted the ship after the shaky voyage through round 2?
Yeah, I mean, I might put my bets on Riley, but just about 60-40. I think really it could be anyone's game at this stage. Of course, we see the Princess versus the Princess again. Evo Drill making another appearance this time around. Such a popular deck choice, but the Magic Archer is going to get some chip damage onto the tower despite the tornado.
Okay, that's a great start from Riley. It's interesting how often today, actually, we've seen players make almost like game-winning decisive moves in the first 30 seconds, the first minute of a game. These single elixir times can be really trying.
Yeah, and it looks like Riley has just managed to get a little bit of an advantage to begin with. And Monk being pushed back there by the Goblin Demolisher, that's going to neutralize that at the bridge right there. Most of Adriel's cards have now been revealed.
He has used 7 out of the 8 as he puts the Knight down. Pretty decent defense there. It's always good to have something like that, or the Valkyrie when you are up against a drill deck. Can he save this? Magic Archer? No, he can't. Okay, drill comes in, and he's got a Goblin Demolisher to back it up. Let's see if that results in any damage. Doesn't. And even then, only manages to blow the shield off one of the guards as well.
Oh, wow. Look at this beautiful play there by the Monk. The ship damage managing to get the tower activation there on Adriel's side. Meanwhile, the Evo Drill coming on the right-hand side. The Evo Bats doing damage on the left-hand side. It looks like Riley is doing huge plays here in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, he was have to be very unhappy that, he thought he was going to get some damage off with that Pensive Protection, and it actually ends up hurting him because of the King Tower activation. But despite that, still gets so much damage in with those bats. That was really surprising how good the Evo bats were. Now look, this Monk is just doing work against that Magic Archer.
Yeah, and it looks like another tornado is going to come to prevent the Magic Archer from getting that geometry Archer onto the tower. Meanwhile, the Demolisher is going nowhere, and the bats are going to come back on the back for another push from Riley.
All right, Evo Tesla. Nice little way to deal with the bats, wiping them out in one of those shocks. And that's going to stem the bleeding, but it's still an open wound for Adriel at this point, as he's about 2k in arrears.
Barbarian Barrel trying to destroy some of the goblins right there, but the Magic Archer, a couple of chips there onto the tower. Evo Bats now are double health. Can he use this to his advantage and maybe get some value using the Monk?
Yeah, so they do get onto the other side at, that full overheal capacity, but they're all taken out by the time that the Evo Drill starts doing its damage. That's it. It's still very much in the favor of Riley, who has just been looking so good in this first game.
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a cool interaction there where Adriel placed his log to defend against some of the drill, but then the Monk reflected it, so it managed to get some more defense against the other parts of the drill. But it looks like, despite that, it's not going to be enough, and it looks like the drill is going to put some damage onto the left-hand side. But Riley is still quite ahead.
Great value tornado there for Adriel, but with the tornado for Riley just lining things up so that the Magic Archer gets the crucial shots onto the left side tower. Now it's only a matter of time, and there we go. Couple of goblins will finish that one off, and Riley takes the lead 1-0.
Riley quite chuffed with himself there with his first victory. Of course, things are not quite done yet. We are going to be heading into game 2. Riley is going to be crafting his decks. Of course, he can't run the drill, and neither can Adriel. Now we've seen drill versus drill. We've seen lava versus lava. Things seem quite one-sided right now in this competitive scene. What do you think, Gino?
Yeah, it's interesting how players keep opting for the same sort of decks at the same time. I feel like we've gotten a lot more mirror matchups than I'm used to, which, I don't know. I'm not sure why that's happening. Is it, there's not enough sort of counterplay? Is it just random happenstance? How are these guys practicing together so much that they've got some, sort of an idea, but also some amount of agreeance on, what the best decks are to run with, whether that's the Lava Hound to start with, or maybe the Drill as well.
Yeah, or maybe these players have their own meta amongst the top 20 kind of players there, as we see some of these decks just being repeated time after time again. I mean, the game's in a pretty balanced state right now. Most people would agree. So a lot of decks are being used, especially in that lower ranked arenas as well as mid-ladder. But we still haven't seen the Mega Knight Ram Rider. We haven't seen the Battle Ram, the Evo Battle Ram. What other cards? It's just unbelievable. We see some of these same decks over and over again, which is not something I'm used to while sitting in this chair.
Yeah, I feel like there has been a little bit of a lack of experimentation. Then again, we did miss some of those first round matches on stream, right?
True.
So I feel like in previous World Tours that we have done, you see a lot of experimentation very early on, and some of those people get knocked out as well because those decks sometimes just don't cut the mustard. So this time, we get to the second, the third rounds, and maybe you're starting to see some of those worst decks weeded out, and some of the ones that are really performing come to the fore a little more.
Indeed, these strong decks are definitely making their appearance. Speaking about strong, we haven't seen the Evo P.E.K.K.A just yet. Could we see an Evo P.E.K.K.A versus Evo P.E.K.K.A? I don't think we have seen it tonight so far, given how popular it is.
Yeah, it's not had the mirror match up on that one yet. It's always seemed to be coincided with the Royal Giant, strangely, whether that's you know, friend or foe. But we have seen a lot of those two lumbering fellows coming into contact. All right, let's get into it. Second game, Adriel versus Riley. Can Adriel make the comeback?
This time, both players have opted for the Cannoneer. Interesting choice, as Riley's glued to his mobile screen, just waiting for Adriel to make that first move.
We'll get a bit of a stalemate this time as Riley opts to split the Goblin gang at the back, and he will be met with the Phoenix.
Cannoneer is going to allow some of those Spear Goblins to get a couple more stabs than they would normally, but the Void is going to kill. Okay, it's not going to kill because he does save it with that Bomber a little bit. But now we see the Mortar, and there we go. The P.E.K.K.A has been released into the arena, being placed in the middle.
Okay, placed in the middle, of course, that's to draw the attention of the Mortar, as we see some spam locked in on the back here just to try and confound the P.E.K.K.A who struggles with lots of small units. That said, it bought plenty of time for that Goblin Giant to get onto the tower. A last salvo from the Mortar will even things up a little bit, as so many souls got collected there that the ability from the Skeleton King just had so much juice to it. That said, doesn't make a difference to the arrows as it gets completely wiped out.
Yeah, and we know that the Skeleton King is a very good answer to the P.E.K.K.A. We've seen it before already tonight. And okay, the Goblin gang is going to try and come to save a little bit of that Mortar's life, as the Mortar gets some extra shots onto the right-hand side tower over there. Meanwhile, Adriel doesn't opt in to try and take it out early, as he goes for a very strong Evo P.E.K.K.A at the back.
Yeah, you can see this cannon tower. That's one of the reasons why it's strong. You can just take out a Phoenix without, you know, taking any damage from it, or maybe just a tiny bit from that death damage, I think it was. Either way, Evo P.E.K.K.A coming in now, and he's got a fisherman friend with him to rope in some of those big targets so that, you know, he can't get too many small units to get in the way. Just bringing them straight to him. Meanwhile, the raged Goblin Giant is on top of the tower and causing havoc. That's it. Still pretty even. With 15 seconds, it feels like this could be an exciting conclusion to the game.
Wow, 529 versus 446. The Goblin Giant managed to do so much damage there on the left-hand side tower with his evolution stab goblin just releasing from its belly. And it looks like, I'm not sure, because Riley can play some miners to try and chip away, or he can try and play some Mortar, but he decides to play Mortar on defense and miner on offense.
Yeah, and you can see the wailing away on the tower. Oh, wow, so many stabs get through from the miner onto the tower, and none, I think that was, from the Goblin Giant. This is turning things around here. Adriel content to let a little bit of damage go through on the left-hand tower because it's just these other ones as that Void gets misplaced.
I think he was trying to predict something but wasn't able to do so. But just a couple more arrows and a couple more voids. The arrows not being able to do enough. Who's it going to be? The miner is going to be predicted not quite properly. And it looks like Riley is just going to take that win. Adriel scratching his head. Unbelievable.
Wow, I mean, yeah, look, I'm sure it was a prediction, but it goes awry, so I guess that still does count as a mistake, right? Doesn't manage to grab anything with it in the end, in one of the, the most important decisive parts of the game. So, oh wow, okay, that's a 2-0 from Riley. I wasn't expecting that, but he will move on to face Mohamed Light now in the upper bracket finals.
Yeah, I mean, he plays two troops. I believe it was the guards on the left and the knight or something on the right. And the miner just managed to squeeze in between both of the troops right in the center. Very, very slick move there by Riley. Just managing to get ahead of on Adriel, because Adriel, I believe, was only 200 HP away. All he needed was maybe a well-timed void or a couple of arrows. But it looks like Riley, the YouTuber, is going to reign victorious.
Well, look, sometimes YouTuber, sometimes man who stomps through tournaments and competitions like nobody's business, because you got to remember, Riley is currently the leaderboard, the community leaderboard leader as far as people who haven't qualified go. Because, look, Mo Light way ahead, won a bunch of stuff, and Tar, the Japanese player, is also close behind him. But Riley's sitting in third there, and because he doesn't currently have a golden ticket, that puts him in the box seat to grab one with great performances like this, because he's going into the upper bracket final now, which, if my maths are mathing, means he's guaranteed, third spot at the worst, I think. 1, 2, drops down third, fourth. Either way, that's like minimum 50, maybe 65 points, which will push him up to about 300. So Riley is now looking fantastic to grab that golden ticket, considering we've only got 1-2 more events left in this community leaderboard, Astro.
Yeah, I mean, Riley is so close to try to get the final golden ticket that's available, and other players that are lagging behind but still have a chance, like Ali and Adriel, still have that chance because as they're in the low bracket, not out just yet.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's have a recap of the upper bracket as we saw it tonight, Astro. As you can see, Mo Light and Riley have made their way through without a scratch, and they will meet each other in that winners bracket, with one of them moving on to the grand final. As we switch it up, flip it around, go to the lower bracket, we get to see that Ali and Adriel are waiting for the winners of Saudi, Lucas. Maybe you might be the two that make it through there. Would be my predictions. Astro, who do you think is going to come out of those two matches?
Yeah, of course, Noah really did face Mohamed Light and managed to get a win off him. So maybe he could get one win or maybe two wins from Lucas there. But yeah, we've seen a lot of upsets from tonight. Of course, Ian going home so early. He was the runner-up of the last LPL tournament, and now he's gone home. And Wallace, the winner of the LPL tournament season 1 last year, also gone home early. So things are definitely being shaken up right now.
Yeah, what does that say? You're not allowed to have two of them? Because if that's the case, does that mean there's a target on Mo Light's head for this one? Well, it's going to be hard to stop him. We've seen that today. We've seen it before, and we've seen it all of this year. It does seem like he's the front runner at the moment. We've still got plenty of action. Of course, that'll all be happening tomorrow at the same time. Tune in again, and we'll play all of the remaining matches of the tournament out to find out who does walk away with that grand prize of $5,500 US, and whether players like Riley and Furin can walk away and add to their totals towards getting the golden ticket via the community leaderboard. That's what's up for grabs here at the LPL Clash World Tour 2024. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight, and I hope to see you then.